Greetings, blessings, salutations, and love celebrations today. Welcome back. It is Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. I forgot to drop the link. Hey, yes, blessing to all of you strolling in, sincerely. I'm feeling filled with spirit, filled with the spirit of love and inspiration. You know, it's Christmas Day. I was wondering, what should I do today? Seems to me I was online last year on Christmas Day too. So why not? Why not bring some, well, why not keep it going? And for those who, by this time in the afternoon, I'm on the West Coast, so it's the evening on the East Coast. By this time, maybe many of the traditions and the family things and maybe some of those have settled down. Or, of course, people can join in later as well. And today, I'm really about sharing the love. The love. I'm feeling so inspired again. And my inspiration is truly, it's from a deep place of humility. I encourage you, join me. Join me humbly today in the eternal presence of God's perfection, God's love. And so this is what I was reminded of earlier by, John St. Julian. I hope others check him out, and I hope others resonate with him. The love we share with others is the love who we truly are. And the love who we truly are is the divine expression of what might come forth. I mean, all of us are walking around in just this magnificence and this glory of potential that we've not yet realized. All of us. It's so amazing and it's so perfectly designed and orchestrated. Life is what I'm talking about. Life is so perfectly designed and orchestrated. It's just, let's celebrate the day together, right? As fellow human beings with the humility, right? We don't always know what's going on. We really don't. We don't always remember things accurately either. That's something else I've learned. So what I found for myself is a lot of our worries, they really are just in our head, in our mind, imagined. And if you can allow yourself to humble yourself, that you might just be within the mind of our God, our Creator. And that mind of God, that field of intelligence is always around you. It's like a womb. Perhaps it could be that in some fashion or form, right, we are heavenly bodies that are experiencing this temporary situation of mortality, of form and separation. And so with those imagined separations, this was from John St. Julian. I think I may have added something, but only the mask of thoughts is creating the illusion of separation from the living God who is known here and now. That's where we get to know. That's where we get to live. And here's a man who's living a life that's pretty cool. Welcome, Brother Jesse.
Merry Christ consciousness, brother.
Amen to you as well, brother. That's the goal, is to share some of that today and through the world. You're traveling again. I'll yield and listen if you want to catch it.
So I live in a different city than Angeline, and yesterday I spent, having a Christmas dinner with my family, and then now I'm just traveling. Just got to Angeline City, so that's why I jumped on early. I'm only gonna be here for a few minutes. So she just got to her city now. Hawk's excited because he's gonna go for his little run. As soon as we get here, he's got his little spot that he goes for a run and takes a dump if he needs to. Because he ate and we were traveling, but everybody has a different interpretation on what this day may be. They have that crispy Kringle day and all this kind of stuff. But for me, if any time that we could bring awareness to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Christ consciousness, Christ Day, it's a good thing, right? So sometimes people try to, put a black mark on it, but anytime people can get together, families can get together, have special day, be able to honor each other is a good thing. And for the people that try to put a dark stain on it, they're just putting a dark stain on themselves, not the actual day or for anybody else. So for all that do enjoy this day, that do enjoy this holiday time, that do enjoy the time with the family, sending blessings to y'all. And for everybody else, well, suck it up.
Hey, I agree much greatly. I mean, many people who I've learned from and who I do admire, they've got a real judgment against the traditions, as though celebrating the traditions, even with the right intentions, is wrong. And I've been learning to trust the guidance system within myself because I know my feelings are true. And you know, I do celebrate I do celebrate life and I celebrate God and I celebrate Jesus every single day. I really do. You know, it's because of his choices and because God allowed him, his teaching, his example, and then God allowed people to die for that book to be passed on and spread. I mean, I used to criticize the Bible a lot too, but the
I still
reality
do.
is you still do. I understand that. And there's many reasons too, but there's no reason. The whole point of the book and what Jesus chose to do and share is for us to learn how to love. Love, and love is truly the reason for life. And if you can, even if it is, even if it's not that often, at least the tradition becomes an excuse for families to come together. Maybe because they haven't been paying attention to each other much of the year, but it does bring in the tradition. It brings us an excuse, really, an excuse to be nice, right? How ridiculous! But thank God there's that excuse. Today, brothers and sisters, it is a good excuse for you to be kind and loving and forgiving. That gift of forgiveness, man, that can change someone's life.
And I only criticize the book because of all the changes, all the things that's not in alignment. There's people that have actually made like Schofield Bibles and it says don't ever change it, but they've changed it so much. And, the stories that I'm in alignment with, the stories about the Christed one, the stories, that's all beautiful. I love that kind of stuff. But then there's also a lot of horrific things that I don't align with. So, for me, it's just, it's a book of words that help people to connect to creator, source, God, love, Jesus, whatever you want to call it. And, whatever you get out of it, you get out of it. And, as long as people aren't using it to spread hate and spread, all because I'm aligned and I'm allowed to hate on you and your beliefs, that's the stuff that, is, that people take out of hand. And then they give people that do follow Christ a bad name because they act like unchrist like while they spew Christ out of their mouth.
Brother, that's unfortunate but true. People become hypocrites. And it's part of our nature, I guess. It's all God's design. And tell you what, the traditions of these religions, that's where there's so much unnecessary division and judgment because of what people think is in other people's heads, right? What really matters is our hearts, and our heart is revealed by how we treat each other, how we treat Mother Earth, right? That's what reveals our character, and that's what we should be paying attention to.
Bingo. I
I
love
do.
that, Jack.
Thank you, brother. I do see that future coming for us, Jesse. I really do. I have so much hope and faith in my heart, but it's also logic too. Because once I found the belief that the world could just totally transform, like into a world where without the wars and the debts at the very first, right? When I when I chose to believe that could happen, the idea now of giving up on that belief, that hope, it seems illogical to me.
Also, once you align yourself with the Holy Spirit, once you're aligned with the Christed side, it doesn't matter what happens to the external world. You know, we obviously we want the best. We're trying for the best. We hope that it all comes, but it doesn't matter from A to Z. Whatever happens, happens. We're still in a good place. And that's the most important thing, is to have your heart in a good place, being in aligned with the right. So whatever happens, you're going to flow through it or move on to the next, and you're still in a good place because you're not letting fear guide your way.
Amen, Jesse. That is so true. And Sterling Ray, that's actually the note I have today is celebrate the birth of Christ within you. And if you can accept Christ as the perfected example, well, recognize the similarities between you and him instead of the differences. And see how much more we could be, see how much more we can offer to the world through faith in God, faith in love. I truly believe this world will be transformed, and we're experiencing it. There's so many people who are breaking out of the old ways, and they're discovering their own path of spirituality. More people are developing their own faith in different ways. They may not realize it though.
And you said faith in God and faith in love, and most importantly, faith in yourself,
Yes.
because that's where that Holy Trinity is. We have that, and you know, God lives through you each and every day. So you want to make sure that you're setting the example that you can be proud of. Or when we do cross over the other side, are you going to be proud of who and what you were while you were here? Or are you going to have to do a lot of explaining on why you were part of the chaos and confusion and weren't able to just love people like we were truly meant to love?
Jesse, amen. It really is. Here's what I realize. It's simple, just what you're saying. You know, we've at the end we're going to be judging ourselves, and we will be judged by how we are, how are we living. But crap. Oh, I recognize one of the greatest blessings that God has allowed me is the past several years of time. I've had time by myself alone without many real distractions. And so I've had a lot of time to think and to learn, which a lot of others may not have had. I know I didn't have time to think and learn in the past. So I thought. um,
You're a beautiful soul, Jack, and you know, you've really developed a lot over these last few years. I was watching that first interview on the bit shoot. I'm hoping other people got to watch that, of Jack, how he was 2.5 years ago, and how, 2 years, 4 months, I think it was. It was in August of 2021, I believe. And and just for how you are now and just the ride that you've gone through. And you're really coming into yourself. You're really finding yourself through this journey. And, it's really, nice to see people that are developing into who they're meant to be while they're here.
Jesse, thank you. Thank you for that recognition, honestly, because I've been trying to grow, and it's been kind of publicly documented in some way. And I encourage you guys, go check out Jesse's old stream. um 2 years and 2 months ago is what it was.
2 years, 4 months.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? All
It
right.
was August,
Yep,
September,
yep,
October,
yep,
November, December.
yep,
So yeah, about
yep.
26 months ago when you were first on the missing link.
Holy cows, man. Time is flying. And I never, it's something to realize for all of us, is that time does pass very quickly. It may not seem like it sometimes, but next thing you know, your kids are grown, you're starting a new career, your body is going through changes, life happens, and there's no real stopping it so far. I don't think we want to stop life from happening. We want to extend it. We want to nurture life within us as much as we can.
This 2020, the stuff that happened,
Mm-hmm.
one good thing that came out of it is a good time barometer, because we're coming up on 4 years. And so it doesn't even seem that long, but it's been 4 years in, a month or two since all that insanity started. So if people don't have a firm, grasp on how fast time does actually go, just imagine it's been 4 years and it doesn't really seem like that, but that's what it is. 4 years ago is when this stuff all started happening.
It's crazy, man. Time passes us by very quickly. Hey, I had some others I wanted to share. Holiday hijinks. It's a major reward. It really is. And then this one. You so horny.
You know what Jack's Christmas wish is?
I got many wishes, man. Uh, oh yeah, I haven't shared in my story, but the last few months I've kind of reconnected with one of my brothers from blood, real family. um, it's been nice getting to know him again. He'll be 40. He'll be 40 next week, and God bless. His wife has been in the hospital all last week. Life, it's easy to take life for granted. It really is. But at the same time, life can be very fragile. Luckily, his wife's a pretty tough woman. She's been battling illness and disease, I think, her whole life. We're all on these different experiences together, man. And I see a future where we intentionally, well, I was going to say a future where we don't make things so difficult on each other. I see a future where we intentionally help, where we actually intentionally see how we can help the world we live in, help it improve, help it grow, because we won't be in such states of anxiety or depression, just drifting along in this survival mindset. You can only live in anxiety and fear for so long, and then your body starts to break down. um, I don't know.
Let's hear three wishes that you have this year for Christmas? Three, put it out into the universe. What are three things that Jack Talcott wants as Christmas miracles, Christmas wishes? Just what can Jack put into the universe, that you can just have a rippling effect, and, may your wishes come true.
I pray to speak to my son soon, and I pray to speak with the citizens of Congress soon. and and through those things, I know my life would improve, and I think we'd get. I don't know. My prayer is peace on earth. Sincerely, this nonsense of wars, governments, prisons, this crap has. I think it's time to change. Here's another man who does and doesn't think like me. I love you. Welcome back, Scott. Good to see you, brother.
Hey, Santa Claus, how you doing?
I'm feeling good, man. Feeling
Nice
good.
to see
That's good.
nice to see you, Scott. I gotta go. So, my three wishes for Christmas this year is that one, the world comes back into alignment, back into natural law. Two, everybody's able to heal from all the trauma that's happened. And number three, abundance will finally bless all of us. So love
Oh,
y'all. Merry
Jesse,
Christ consciousness. Yeah.
Jesse, before you go, just want to say Merry Christmas to you and yours, and been keeping up with your show and watching. I saw Jack the other day, so you've been doing great interviews. Keep it up, man. I just want to say, hey, great year in interviews for you.
Thanks, man. May 2024 be the best year for all of us.
amen, brother.
Good,
Much
good
love.
sentiment.
Merry
Take
Christmas
care.
to you and
Merry Christmas. Bye, everyone.
brother. Um, and what wonderful prayers that the world find healing from its past, that we restore and we have natural order here on earth, and that the abundance, the prosperity that is truly available to be shared, may it be shared freely, joyfully. Hey, Scott, what are your three prayers, like wishes?
I would say one, that people start recognizing the value in others would be my first prayer. That they not overlook the simple things that could add to their lives in a stranger, and therefore, giving themselves a better outlook, in turn. So my first wish would be that people give themselves a better chance at life by giving others a second glance. Don't just look away because you think they're different. So my next wish, I think, would be that people accept themselves. I mean, look in the mirror. This is who you are. That's what you have to deal with, and then work from there with a positive outlook that, hey, if I change a little bit today, tomorrow will be different. And if I change a little bit tomorrow, the next day will be different. So, one would be give other people a chance so that you give yourself a chance with them. And two, try and make yourself better. But three, overall, appreciation. I want to appreciate this world more, and I want others to appreciate it more too, because we've been gifted with something that is unbelievable. This
Amen,
is
brother.
a special place. It's the
Amen.
only
Hey,
place like it we know.
amen. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but we got another guest here too.
Sure.
Welcome, Manel. Good to see you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Jack and
We
Scott.
wish you a Merry Christmas, Mel. And I love your water there. The that's such a cool
Mm.
what do we call it? Icon, meme, emoji,
Avatar. Picture.
avatar. Well, that water is sexy.
Oh, bless. Yeah, well, when you get older, you need to make yourself a little bit more sexy, don't you?
Is that an actual picture of you that you turned to water?
I'm air.
Your air.
I'm
Well, if you
air.
look
So
like that, you want to get married?
that. Yeah, well,
Just
I'm
kidding.
good to fly,
Just
mate.
kidding.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go. Okay, fly to Florida. Let's go. Get it on.
I wanted to say Happy Christmas, Jack, and thank you for all your beautiful perspectives.
Thank you.
And don't let anyone drag you down, because I've been observing a lot, and you have to root through the chaff to find the wheat. If you know what I'm saying, I think you do.
I do.
So
Thank you.
in Lakesh, yeah, definitely. So
Amen.
I may not always be able to be receptive, and I sometimes have to stay away from some of the live stream things, because you know what I mean. I'm not going to talk too much about that. There's some
Well,
negative stuff that's happened.
how about this? Uh, Jesse offered. I shared my like imagined wishes and prayers. Jesse and Scott shared his. Scott was just offering that people, and they're similar. They're very similar. That the natural law be there, that people heal from their past and abundance and prosperity. And then Scott's offering that people actually see each other, that the value be shared, and that we actually pay attention, if I understood it right. And
Yes,
and how about you, sister?
yes, absolutely. I got what Jesse, and I mean, I listened to both of you, and I might be a little bit older, but I don't know everything, and I feel that learning is a continuous flow, and this is something that I learn more and more every single moment. And I think that when you're in a really dark place, that you learn so much more that brings you
Mm,
to light. And I'm coming back to light, and it's tough, but you know, and I'm not gonna make out that I'm something better than I am, but I appreciate all the beautiful um, expansion that is given.
amen. The opportunity for
Yeah,
growth that's there.
absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
and I didn't mean to laugh, but I
No,
was
please.
laughing.
Laughing is
I'm,
good. It's healthy.
I'm your description. It's beautiful. You found the value in the darkness. You found that the darkness brought some learning and some lessons, and you're returning to the light. And
Mm.
I love that. That's what life kind of is. I think we
Yes.
collectively we've made life far more difficult than it has to be in many different ways. In many ways, collectively, the society we live in actually here in the Western world provides an awful lot of comfort, safety, security.
Distractions.
It's We're at a great time and an opportunity. Things are at a precipice. I truly believe we are created to bring the new to the world. That's what Jesus was
Mm.
doing. He
Yeah.
brought the new.
Christ. Yeah. Definitely.
Well, and that each of us are on our own path of learning what he showed, that we are the divine light, that we
Mm.
are the living truth when we humble ourselves and we get out of the way, get the ego out of the way, and we surrender to the will of God.
So, Jack,
W-
can you
We're
can
that
you humor
current,
me?
aren't we?
Oh,
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Scott.
Well, it's
please.
okay. I just want him to humor me and tell me when Chris Kringle is going to show up and get all of us elves under one fucking roof so we can build some shit.
You know,
I like that.
right? There is a lack of organization. I mean, this is, I don't know. When I look at the world and the global economy, particularly from the perspective of America, um, there's a lot of good things, and there is some incredible, incredible abundance available. Um, but holy crap, where was I going with that? I forgot where I was going to land that. I was,
Abundance, the connection, the learning
oh,
together.
Guidance,
it's,
camaraderie, people get together.
I'm just
it,
trying to help. I don't know.
that no, beautiful, thank you. Yes, it's all those things. The greater picture, the world between the nation states and all these corporations, all these regulations and rules and wars and espionage and shit, it's entirely inefficient. It is so,
Not for the people at the top.
This is why things
no,
are changing, Jack. We know this. It's
yeah,
changing.
I
You know,
know.
they haven't been able to disconnect us from source. This is what's happening now.
We are, I think we are going through a realization. That's what this shift in humanity is. And collectively and individually, we're many are going through our own dark nights of the soul where we feel alone, and it's in the darkness that we learn a lot. We do learn our light, our strength, our perhaps perhaps we're shown miracles sometimes that the only way we made it through the darkness was clearly some supreme power. That's kind of my story.
May I say something? That I
Please.
think what I feel is that, and I can only speak from my own journey, and I think that's where we can only speak from individually, is that when you go through the darkness, you realize that there is light beyond that. You know, and I've really been in a dark place. You know this. I've never hidden this. This has always been open. My heart is clearly open. Um, and I think this is important where people are afraid to show their emotion. You know,
Can I ask you a
it
question, Manel?
please
Would you
continue,
agree
please.
that even at the darkest that you might have found yourself, that light that you found there in the darkness was certainly a reflection of you because it had to be in you or you couldn't have found it.
Very true.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I couldn't have said that better, actually. And I think that's where I was going. I didn't find the words, but you just took the words for me and brought it forth. So, yeah, this is
So
exactly what's going.
the light that we're seeking, and many of us seem to be seeking it in others, it is in ourselves. And the inordinary way or unordinary way of finding the light in others is ultimately seeking it out and finding it and controlling it, possessing it and owning it in yourself, because once you can control your own light, you have control of the light. That light is in
And
all
it's
of us.
dealing with the fear as well. It's dealing with the fear
Hey,
because that's the aspect that
That's a
when
big
you're
deal. That's a
dealing,
big deal.
yeah. Mm,
hey, and that's
Fear is a fucked up.
sorry,
Excuse me, Jack. Sorry.
Scott, continue. No,
yeah.
continue.
Well, I wanted,
I,
okay. I
I
wanted,
just had the
Sorry.
thought that fear was something that when we step up against fear, if we acknowledge it, it becomes real. If we don't
Mm,
acknowledge it, fear is something that is self-created and self-hindering. And oftentimes, if it's not tangible, like nobody standing there with a fucking gun, it's an obstacle
mm.
we've created all by ourselves for no fucking reason.
right. And
There is that
actually,
as well. that as well, but there is also aspects that come in that have got that we don't have any control over, and we then have to deal with them. We have to deal with those aspects, and I'm not alone. This is not just me. This is many of us where we're dealing with fear of things that we've been left with that we have to deal with, whether we
I
like
don't
it or
want
not.
Jack to lose his thought. I don't want to let
No,
Jack
you
lose
won't.
his
No,
thought.
no.
So
All right,
what
Jack,
are you
please
thinking?
bring your thought back. Please.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. And thank you, Scott. Well, I wanted to come back to what Manel had said previously, that many people are afraid of their emotions or afraid of sharing their emotions. I wasn't sure exactly how you said it, but that
Yes, that
fear,
is what I said. Yes.
that is what society has conditioned us. And sometimes in real strict households, that's what children are taught too, is the emotions become a form of bring you to risk
Yeah,
of punishment.
absolutely.
Overcoming our emotions, that's part of maturity. That's part of the transcending the beastly nature within us. That's actually what we not must, but we get to do. We get to do whatever we want, but I wanted to transcend my anger. I wanted to overcome my patterns. And here's where I figured out what I learned. Just what just what Scott was saying too, the fear. Most of these fears and insecurities are just imagined. And if we're not paying attention to our feelings, if we're not trying to understand our feelings, we never know that. It's when you bring your fears in, when you have a fear of emotion. I'm afraid of breaking down. I'm afraid of allowing, like me, I was kind of afraid of letting my anger come out. Um,
But you're so beautiful, Jack. You know that.
well, thank you.
There's so much proof that you're so beautiful.
We are. Thank you. The light you see in me is a reflection of the light that you bring.
Yes.
Thank you. And this is what Christmas is about. It's about sharing the love, sharing celebrating the birth of the Christ within. And the Christ that is within all of us is that bright light
Bringing
of
the light back.
Amen.
Yes. Bringing the light back.
Jack, can I ask you a question?
Please.
Manel just said you're beautiful. She said she sees the beauty in you, and you said, yeah, it's agreed. Do you see the beauty in you?
Humbly, I do. Yes. And
Do,
actually, you know what? Yeah, I do.
do you
I love
Yes,
recognize it
you
daily?
do.
Do
Ultimately, you do. That's
do
so
you
good.
specifically take a little time out of the day and go ahead and I don't want you to massage yourself for 3 hours, but
Or sit
I
in
do
front
want
of
you
the
to
mirror and go, oh, look at me.
no,
I'm just
but
kidding.
just appreciate what you have. This is you. It's the one and only you. It's the one and only on the planet. There is no other fucking duplicate. There may be some doppelgangers, but
Unique.
there's no carbon copy of you at all.
Yeah,
Okay? So what I'm
exactly.
saying is, in essence, to appreciate all of us and to do your best to be there for
Mm.
all of us and to move forward in your endeavors positively in the best light possible. You got to be there for yourself and recognize that in yourself.
Mm.
That way, maybe some of the shortcomings others have, you'll overlook them and say, look, let me help you get past that.
So much
Because
wisdom, man.
you're
Beautiful.
you're just you're
Mm.
an interesting, special individual. And I think one of the most endearing factors about you is people keep seeing you
Mm.
try over and over, and you're not failing, You're succeeding.
You're not
You're like
failing.
literally, it's that ant can't move that rubber tree pan. Yes, I can. Yes, I
Right.
fucking can. You
Thank
just
Scott,
got to
can I
keep.
say something?
Sure, please.
So I wanna explain my avatar, which might sound a bit long-winded, but it's the
Please just
joy
send
of
me the
life.
original photo.
That is the joy of life that I feel. That expansion, even though I've got a sore shoulder, but my spirit reaches out and hugs all that beauty of life. That
Awesome.
the essence, the air, everything, the soil, everything that grows, and everyone I meet as well that I speak to, that speaks to me and teaches me, because I don't know everything. None of us know everything, and this is the whole
If
point
somebody
of us
said, Manel, if
being
somebody
here.
was to say to you, you are law, do you understand what they're saying or what they mean by that? You
Say
are
again,
law.
please.
You are law. If I said you are law,
Yes,
do you
yes,
understand what I mean
natural.
by that?
Yes, yes, the
What?
natural law of 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 great consciousness, great source.
But what is the acronym for law? What does law stand for?
Land, air, and water.
What are you made of, my dear?
I am made of land, air, water, earth, and ether.
Okay, well, Earth is
So
land,
there's
sweetheart. So
actually
you are
more.
law. You are law.
I am. I am of everything,
You are
and
the
I will
creator's
go back to
creation, and
everything. And
I'm
I am
creating.
energy too. Energy too.
Now, Jack
Conscious
is the
energy.
supreme law when we get around here. Jack is the
We are
supreme
all that.
Talcottian law.
We are aspects
Well,
of that
absolutely,
beautiful
absolutely.
consciousness.
We're absolutely. So, anything you guys have done today for Christmas? Have you gone anywhere, done anything?
I'm just relaxing in rainy Scotland with my 3 furry animals, and I'm now with you.
I've got three furry animals on the couch next to me. So, hey, how about that?
That's nice. They're good,
Jack,
aren't
have you
they?
got any furry animals today? Oh, I love the puppies. I love
They're on his chin. Jack's got all
them.
his furry animals on his chin. Jack, I mean that in the nicest way possible.
So, Jack, Merry Christmas. And what was your day like? Did you spend it? I know you talked recently about your brother. Did you call your mom or your brother at all today?
Yeah, my brother's his wife got moved. She got off the ventilator yesterday
Oh,
or the day before, and she's moving out of
that's,
ICU today. So he's spending the day at the hospital with her.
So that's a positive thing, right?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
good,
it is
good,
yeah,
good.
actually. It is actually a positive,
definitely,
and
I'll pray
definitely.
for a Christmas miracle that all that goes straight
thank
in the right direction.
you, amen.
It's a
Thank you.
healing time. Amen.
The admittedly the darkness of what he was dealing with it created an opportunity for he and I to connect a little bit. So
That's good.
we've been talking each day while he's dealing with this, and
That's
then
good.
yeah, I talked to mom today.
It's tough,
Tried
isn't it?
calling.
Yeah, but that's good.
You shouldn't tell them about Talcadia though, because the circus performers that you have around you up here, I don't know if they're ready for that.
Scott.
Well, I did
No,
try to caution my mom and my dad a while ago when I first saw the emergence of cot flicks. I thought I might warn them a little bit, but
you have nothing to
Ooh,
be ashamed of. I think that your whole plight here is tried and true, and I think despite a few faux pas here and there, I don't think you've missed much a beat.
thank you. I figure this is where I'm at, honestly, is I don't know what the future's going to bring. I do know my prayers are for peace. peace in my life, resolving the conflicts and disagreements that others found, and then
I'm with
spreading
you.
that peace. You know,
I'm
so
with you.
faith in God, those are newer things for me. The people of my past, they didn't know me at that stage in my life. And here, how about this? I think I am an example for others to learn from, right? Good and bad. I made a lot of stupid mistakes, and sometimes I still put my foot in my mouth, but it's less often than the past.
Hey, I
Hey, Jack,
liken myself to Cartman.
Cartman, shit, that's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
You,
I liken myself to Cartman. I'm always putting my foot in my mouth.
Jack, they say. Oh, sorry. Go on, Manel.
No,
She's
I'm
muted.
done. I said it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what they say, Jack? Everybody's good for something, even if only to serve as a bad example.
Well, exactly. And I served my
Yeah.
time doing that. But the point is I think well, I think the lessons I've learned for
The
myself.
key to that statement, Jack, is very deep because success leaves clues, but so does failure. So if you pay attention to someone else's misgivings or misguided, fuck ups, then you can know what to avoid and or find somebody that's been there and done that and ask them what to avoid. This is always advantages that we have, and it shows that community is better than trying to make it on your own.
Right. That's why we're here to learn from one another. Exactly, Scott.
Nobody needs to be the king. We all need to be proactive in getting forward, moving. I think there's so much brilliant, you know, attributes to so many of us out here that if there was some cohesive effort to mine that data, to extrapolate that information, holy fuck, we'd be billionaires before 2025 was up.
Can I use a simple analogy that comes from the British underground system? Mind the gap. Mind the gap. Sorry, I had to do that. So that when you get on the tube, the London Underground, you could literally fall underneath the train. So
Gotcha. Thank you.
that's where mind the gap comes from.
Yeah. Um,
Did you ever hear about the monorail train, Jack?
I don't know if I have. Is
There's
there
a
Yeah,
guy back in the 1900s, like 1909.
I know about the monorail. Yeah, I do.
This thing would corner and bank, and they had gyroscopes to make it work. Someday I'll send you a link to it, Jack. It's fucking bizarre, but absolutely cool as shit.
No,
Cost
Scott, you're
prohibitive
right.
because
Our tech is way behind compared to what was there in the 1900s, the 1800s, and even before that. A lot of it has been hidden and diminished, shall we say.
Jack, just think of a train that's on two wheels or three wheels, single rail, so it looks more like a bike and it takes the corners a lot faster and better. And
Yeah,
because they
under
had
the
gyroscopes up in yeah,
under the
it's fucking.
carriage or over the carriage where it's hanging or it's above the
And you think it'd tip over,
literally
but with the
one rail.
gyroscopes going, they could put all the
Yeah.
passengers on one side of the train. It would stay righted. Unbelievable.
And there's a lot of photographic evidence of this, and there's a little bit
Video.
of
Well, there's
yeah, there
video.
is video as well of it. Yeah, absolutely.
There's actually some
It's
of the
not a
fuck ups.
fake
They
holiday.
show how they messed up
Sorry,
and
Scott.
figured out problems.
It's not a
That was
fake holiday. But it's not a fake holiday. The reason being it is a holiday of coming out of the dark into the light. That is what these days, this whole month, in fact, is all about, is coming out of the dark and returning to the light. So it's not
I
fate.
do think that it may be switched around, because on the third day rose again the winter solstice, the sun, now it starts moving, proceeding back northward. So, maybe we
It's
should be
not a fake
celebrating.
holiday, though. That's okay. The confusion is their weapon. So if we, and this is
Welcome, Tommy.
this is why they want confusion to happen, is so that we argue constantly about it's this, it's that, it's the other. So that's all I've
Merry
got to say.
Christmas, Tomas.
Right, and we wouldn't have
Merry
all
Christmas,
the
Tommy.
arguing if people would just realize they are wrong.
Yeah.
Like you guys are like, oh, the shape debate's just to keep us divided. Then actually know its globe for once. And I'm going to see if I can assist with that.
Or especially find things that are relevant. I mean,
well, like I said, if you're going to say you're a truther in the truth community that speaks truth, you better know the shape of the planet you're on. It's alarmingly close to the shape that all planets seem to be.
It is. That's
I'm not a
interesting.
truther, I'm a freedomer.
You're a retarder. What was
Tommy,
this stuff you were
when I
saying
knew
about 1800s technology was far more advanced than ours?
That's exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah, and I said, what was that you were saying about that? But Jack, this is what I'm seeing is going on.
Scott and I were talking about that.
Hold on, we'll get back to that. It's like when she was saying it's not a fake holiday. Yeah, it's like people need to understand the context. Like, of course, there's pagan crossovers because the original Christians were all converted from pagans and Jews and Greeks. And it's like we recognize this is the day we celebrate a thing. Nobody's out here saying December 25th is when Jesus was born.
Actually, people have been saying that. But,
well, I'm sure somebody believes that stuff.
Right.
But we don't know that Jesus was born on December.
Right. Regardless, I saw
April. I agree with you, Tommy. I agree.
Hey, can I give you a heads up? There's people that
Let
believe
Jack finish interrupting me. What were you saying, Jack?
It doesn't matter. I was
so this. I was still on my thing, Jack. This is what I'm saying. Like, even though I play up like, oh, it's Rage Monday. Oh, I'm gonna wreck Stavely and stuff. It's just another London Man situation. They just have miscontextualized words that were said, and they gripped to it, and they made a thing out of it. This is what a lot of the issues are in probably most communities. And it's like yesterday, I think I caught a chunk of hard hat like bitching to you about me, and he just had a bunch of stuff wrong.
9/11 was Christ's birthday. That's what I was told.
No,
it's not Christ's birthday.
I've heard that.
Jet fuel
One of us
doesn't
know.
help. Steel beams, 420 blaze it. F word.
You know, what really matters is the meaning. What did his birth? If for those who believe in Jesus, what did his birth and death and resurrection mean? What was this message from God?
Light, exactly.
Amen. The light, the truth,
Amen.
That is the way we're supposed to live. We become the light. And when we are authentic about how God has created us to be, when we're humble and honest and confident, the mix match of everything, we are the living truth.
Amen.
And it's humbling. But if we don't listen to each other, this is kind of what Scott was suggesting, in the future, we pay attention and we listen to each other. And we
If I
understand.
listen to Scott, he'll drone on and on and
I love
on.
learning from you. It's always amazing. It's beautiful.
Scott he does have a way of expressing himself.
Yeah, he
Keeping
attaches
you on
extra
track.
sentences. He takes you on a walk around the park along the way, and
Tommy, you need to take some walks around the park.
Hello,
I do
Aaron.
every
Hanging
day. You
out in
guys
the
even make
closet.
fun
Hi,
of me.
everybody. Merry Christmas. Hi, Jack.
I do all
How's
the
it going?
time.
Hey, welcome and Merry Christmas, Aaron. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you
Aaron
all.
sounds like he's literally in the
Good to see
studio
you.
with fucking soundproof walls talking through a $3,000 fucking board.
Aaron is
That's the other room, actually. I'm on a plain old UHD wireless 58 and wireless pack, so I can wander around and chat with you before I
And it's
head to
clipping.
the
You should
moms.
get in the
Nice.
studio. I'm sorry.
No,
And you
you're
got a
good. You're
good
good.
voice as well. That's some good deep voice you got going on there.
Oh, thank you kindly very much. How's everybody doing? Jack, I love the conversation so far. Inclusivity as opposed to the disenfranchisement is always my
That's right.
choice.
Nice. I
mean,
like
we
it.
can get back to
Beautiful.
disenfranchisement.
No. We are.
By the way, I'm
well,
sorry. Can I just say that I love hearing Tommy have conversation? I got to tell you, Tommy, it's so much nicer than hearing you scream at somebody on another panel. By the way,
Oh
just
yeah,
That's fun. They
definitely.
usually need reached in that manner.
truth.
And Rage Monday falls on a Christmas this year.
Amen. Aaron.
how are you going to balance that, Tom? I'm sure you've got it covered, but
Rage Tuesday.
No, I'm doing it today. And that's why I'm glad I ran into Flo here, so I know where to find him. He's gonna assist me with playing a vid for me.
Oh,
good.
damn.
Good for
I feel
you.
like Peniel.
It's a beautiful thing.
Hey, for those who haven't yet, Aaron, I haven't. Well, let me tread carefully. I haven't looked closely, but Aaron, you run a pretty interesting and amazing show.
Oh, thank you. Nobody's ever. Most people call it weird, but yes.
Okay.
I'd like to think that I've got a kind of a multi-flavored
You're
show.
definitely not weird. You're not weird.
You've got some talent, man. You really
Oh,
do.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I try to do something creative, and present it as show because I think that there's a lot of confusion with a sector that is like, and it goes along with what you guys are talking about, which is I came back to YouTube as just a person who was uploading for kind of fun reasons and sharing with the family my travels and tours in the past, and I've been urged on by other YouTubers to do so. And I fell out of it because it just wasn't in vogue, let's just say. But coming back to it with a purpose, which was, fulfilled. I didn't feel fulfilled after the purpose was fulfilled, and I continued on. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that I see the disenfranchisement, man. I see so much going on. And one of the keys was I saw a streamer, a very popular streamer, using a device for hypnosis, essentially, the old magic trick. Look over here while my hand is over there, and the in-between space that was being filled was degrading and debasing. And, I looked at the vidIQ kind of stats of it, and it looked like there was a large young audience watching. And I mean by young men and women in their 20s, 30s. But then there's also the scope of like 12 to 17 that were catching it because of the video games, clearly, or whatever else. And just the influencing done by what is otherwise known as polyscopic hypnodation, or subconscious referencing hypnosis.
Aaron,
So
I need to find your channel, I think, because I'd like to come and listen to what you've got to say. Definitely.
thank you. Yeah, I've got lots of that stuff on there. I read the entire gateway process report and the process actually online.
When I come out of the live, because I can't see the live chat, but when I come out of the actual live, I will come back into the chat and I'll find your channel. Definitely.
Oh, I'd love that.
Well, yeah,
Please
can
do.
you drop a link in the back?
Yeah,
Maybe
Aaron,
get
I was-
alive.
Oh yeah, let me see.
No, I'm on a tablet, so I can't see anything. So don't worry. For me, don't worry. I'll find you later.
No problem. It's
Definitely.
easy to
Oh,
find.
that's
Anyway.
what we got to worry about.
Just tell us the name of your channel. That might be the easiest thing.
Aaron M. Sound is spelled on the screen right there. All
I know.
one
I
word.
see. I
I
see.
thought that was Aaron.
It can be Aaron as well. It just depends on where you're from. Some people are Aaron.
He just has to
Aaron.
boomer. He has to boomer. He can't not boomer.
Hey, ask
Jack,
Elvis
I
what
just
that
want to
is.
say you rock. By the way, you
Oh,
rock.
thank you. Thank you. I've been lucky. I've been real
You-
blessed to be around people that rock. So I honestly only rock by proxy.
Yeah. No, there's a lot
all
of
of you
rocking,
rock,
a lot of rocking gentlemen here.
Oh,
Oh,
bless
and
him.
I want to say,
Thank
Tommy,
you.
you've grown, man. You've definitely grown.
There you are.
What are you talking about?
Your hair.
Nah, that's the one thing that's going away.
Again? Shit.
I think she was referencing emotional maturity or regulation.
No, not Tommy.
That's not
Aaron,
true.
nice.
I'm sorry. Was I going too
Nice
far?
I've
Definitely.
always
No,
been
you were
a
on
better
point.
person than I've ever displayed
Definitely.
on YouTube. Like, Aaron, wouldn't you agree that the disenfranchisement is like an
Very
amoral
good. I
thing?
like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I do think it is a general sense of amorality that lends itself to nihilism for a vacuum. Absolutely, that would.
But
be
I
the point
mean,
of
the
it.
way a gun or a weapon is amoral, it's the person utilizing it and how. I think
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
people in these streets that should be disenfranchised.
Okay, I get you. I have a friend who has this very similar concept, which is the clown license, which is he thinks that anybody who's got like a bunch of infractions on their driver's license should have to wear a clown wig. So at least when you're driving on the road, there's a visual implementation to let you know that they've got a bunch of infractions.
Oh, that's called fender damage. Yeah,
That's funny.
watched
I like
things
that.
like that. And I think there's an alarming number. I think people just don't want pressured when driving. There's a lot of people in Denver that put a student driver sticker on their car, and there can't be this many instructional cars. I
Oh,
think people
God.
just want that out whenever you're like honking and flipping them off.
I
That's
literally
Like, oh,
ordered.
student driver,
That's
student driver.
funny. I like that. That's
I
funny.
literally ordered a pack of magnets, fucking 50 magnets that I put on cars when somebody pissed me off. If I'm pulling into a parking lot or something, I just put a magnet on the back of their car that says student driver.
Brilliant. That's
I
a good
fucking
tag.
hate people.
Nice.
Sounds like a waste
Nice.
of money.
What's that?
It sounds like a waste of money. And now
It's
I know
more-
where all these student drivers
What's a
stickers are
magnet on
coming
a
from.
car? It's not a waste of money.
It's more fun than you can imagine. I'll start videotaping it. I was gonna do it, but I
Well,
just never hang around.
Here.
I can't hide it that self-awareness in mass drops to a low value. Let me tell you.
Mm.
Hey,
So true.
And speaking of lack of
and
self-awareness,
welcome, Snafu. Please be kind and peaceful.
I'm peaceful.
Mhm.
I know it's a white powdery Christmas for Tommy. You know,
I
fucking
already saw
like
you.
cooked
I
off
already
his
saw you
fucking
on your
rocker.
daddy's
He
show,
showed his little
giving
baggy
you and
holiday.
him
Here we go.
more false narrative to
Hey,
lean into.
by the
Go for it.
way, Tommy,
And we're off.
gotta have that snow right for
Hey,
your
we're off.
holiday, your pagan holiday.
How do you know
Silver
I'm not on the
Surfers.
fucking downhill there, Snafu?
Do what?
How do you know I'm not the one on the downhill, Slaloming?
Dude, you know what? Your bobblehead, we're working on the nipples right now, and the pepperoni nipples like wiggle with your head.
All right.
Scott,
Yours
bobblehead's
has
probably
your
a good seller.
bobblehead has the pepperoni
There's only
fucking
one
chicken
set
pox
of
on the
nipples
face.
here,
It's
mate.
a good seller,
Before
dude.
you kick him out, Snafu,
Wait,
I've
hold on, Jack.
openly
Happy holidays. And Tommy, we know you're a little fucking druggy after you lied, showing your little cocaine. And so quit lying to everyone, dude.
lean into it, Snafu. That's your god you're standing before.
I found it under the tracks.
Yeah, see, you even take what I said and get it
Jack,
wrong.
man, you're so patient. I love your patience.
I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, Jack is kind of an exception, but I just don't deal with panels that will entertain Snafu anymore.
I'm kind of feeling that way myself, to be
It
honest.
happens. It happens.
Moving right along.
Yeah, and Snafu, love you, brother. I really do. I care about you. I'll talk to you as a friend, but man, I just can't take it all the time, man.
He chooses the third rail in that choice of like if
I
you're going
like
to run
that.
somebody over or five people you're going to run over, and he pulls the lever that takes it all the way to the third rail. I'm sorry, it's tough. You know, there are people that do that. That's part of the jam on the Tubes of You. Sometimes,
Yeah.
in other groups.
Hey, hopefully,
Tubes
hopefully
of You.
hopefully just Frank held on a few more minutes, but I was growing in my frustration as well. Hey, this is what humanity is bringing. This is today's society. Praise God.
We're all going to die on the same
Bless
day.
all.
Praise
Yeah.
God.
Well, you know, I mean, honestly, is there ever not been this case? We just now have the ability to,
Right.
people have the ability to reach out and show you how goofy and wild they can be, and I hate to use the word goofy, sorry, how you know, just like 16th century they can be. And I often, I imagine like these same people, I think a lot of us would be the same culturally or just socially as when we were in the 16th century sitting in a bar. Probably a lot of the same interactions and similar social, you know, and you're always going to have that guy at the end of the bar. I can't remember the Simpsons character, but
yeah, but then they just club him over the edge
Barney.
and kick him out the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Physically.
Yes, yeah.
That's kind of what I was replying to Manel though. Like, I've always been in like a LARP as long as I've been coming on panels and YouTube. So whenever people, I don't expect people to get me or know me, but I can't trust any judgment calls on me because it's hard to tell what people have taken serious and not serious, and it just
I
is what
agree
it
with
is.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, some glorious LARP. By the way, glorious LARP. Don't just let it lie like that.
Hey, that's actually been an unfortunate truth for me, because I don't know if I was naive or what, but I'm here being authentic, right? And there's a lot of characters and a lot of people just playing roles, but
they're not being honest about the fact that they're playing a role.
Right.
So that's an argument I have right now.
That's what I love about this, though, is you have to decipher, do they know they're playing a role? Or can you decipher, are they LARPing on purpose? And if there are government agents among us, they have to discern who among us are their actual opposition and who's
I'm a
just
government
a
agent. Where's my check?
convenient idiot.
Well, forget about that, Tommy.
Yeah,
just
right
think
on
about all the subgenii that have taken to the streams that nobody knows where they're at. You know, there's too many of the out there as well that, you know, and then it's turned into subsets of people that, you know, a lot of the trolling of the modern day comes from the misunderstanding of how to performance art.
Mm-hmm. I even had to tell a group of trolls that, like, you have to have an order or there's nothing for you to troll. If you're just going to do whatever you want and raise your arms and say that's what wins, whatever we do is what wins, like, that's not trolling. You just have chaos.
Yes.
Like, you have to have an order in order to troll it.
Yeah, that's the that's the pigeon in the chessboard. I never play, although we're forced to often play chess with pigeon, and they just crap all over the board and go squawk squawk. I won. You know.
Right. Yeah, that's
that
well
happens
said,
out here quite a bit in this YouTube fucking world.
Hey, that's the economic structure.
True. True. I mean, at least, especially like right now, it does seem like the bully economic structure, doesn't it? Like, who's the worst in the room? That guy's got more money than everybody.
I don't know.
I think it's similar to what Tommy was talking about, the gun amorality, because I do believe that some people, we are seeing it in TikTok, we're seeing it in and this is the disenfranchisement. Some people will sell their own bodies into, there's a TikTok trend that I just caught wind of, that basically kids are passing away because they're driving cars, they're stealing Kias and driving them into walls.
No.
Nice.
Or driving them into
idea.
Yeah, smart. Same Tide Pod eating folks.
Manel, have you ever seen a movie called Shopping?
hold on, that's our species. That's humankind. That's this.
I
Holy
don't
cow,
blame
man!
that
Play
side of
Galactic Jack
right.
whenever. This is a good time for you to play Galactic Jack whenever you say things like that.
Wow.
Lord.
But no, Manel, there was this UK movie back in the 80s I used to watch, or maybe it was the 90s. It was called Shopping, and it was about UK kids that would steal cars, crash them through department stores at night, and then just rob those stores.
Wow.
But their whole premise was to steal a
Oh.
car and crash it into the store.
Well, I see.
they
I'm
film
kind
it?
of green though, Tommy, because I was never around that. I think that was around the 90s and the early 2000s, Tommy, because I'm a
I
bit
just wondered
older
if
than
that
that.
movie was like a hit over
Yeah,
there.
no, I mean, no, I'm gonna go look it up definitely, and it this shows you the scary mentality that has been kind of built into the young psyche, and that's disturbing
Oh,
because they
I think
literally
I
just
think it's always been the same though, hasn't it? I mean, there's always a case, and I fight myself on this, by the way, of not
yeah,
repeating the
maybe,
same
yeah.
things of like, oh, the youth, oh, the youth, oh, the youth. I think they're always being taken advantage of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
ignored.
Well, I feel like
Definitely.
the millennial
They're
and
easy
Zoomer
targets.
generations are some kind of exception where it's like you've always had that order of the next generation coming up is like, man, the older generation's music sucks. Our music's good. The older guy's old fogey doesn't know nothing. But now that's broken to where Generation X is looking at millennials and Zoomers like, y'all's music sucks. And they're like, yeah, our music sucks. And we're like, you guys suck. And they're like, yeah, we don't really have anything going for us. It's like, no, you're not supposed to do it like this, guys.
I disavow, just because it's my
Got
business.
that right, mate.
I can't admit to anything.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. It's end
No,
of
I mean, this is the point. I mean, this is what I said before: is that we need to learn from it, and we are learning from one another. And it doesn't matter whether
Totally.
you're older or younger. We're learning from because we are all walking our own paths. You know, we're walking our own paths, and it doesn't matter whether we think we're right or wrong. Ultimately, there is a thing that's called what's it? With the coming together, the coalition of the spirit, you know,
Come on,
that we all are.
Come through and up slowly.
I feel like, I mean, I'm not to douse on. I love that. I feel like that is a thing in general. That there is always a Darwin Awards for those folks who are going to.
Oh, I don't do the Darwin thing though, because that's just a thing again.
No, there's
Okay,
no
I mean, if you want to
greater
talk on that
Darwin
meta
award.
level, yeah, absolutely. I do agree
Okay.
that there is a
The gun
generalized
community
connection.
is where the true Darwin awards are, because that's where it's like you can't fake a Darwin award in the gun community.
True.
Yeah.
Although my favorite story of that, by the way, is sorry.
Yeah, go on, Aaron, please.
You're cutting you off.
No, Aaron, please. What you were saying.
Okay, no, it's the one where the guy, it's not the rocket guy. It's the one where the guy electrified a heart so he could actually sleep with it because he kept, he was escalating his sex with food. Anyways, yeah, the Darwin Award of all time. Anyway,
That's crazy.
How gross! Yikes!
Yikes! He wanted
Tommy,
it warmed, I guess.
Yeah, no, but Tommy wanted to say something on that note as well. Go on, Tommy, please.
What?
I hope you've never done this, Tommy.
You were talking. You were talking on the level of what Aaron was saying.
Oh, I was just saying. Darwin Awards are most prevalent in the gun community because people usually like. There was this stupid trend going around last year where people would cock their pistols, and most pistols have just a little bit of play in the trigger, and people would cock the pistol and flex that trigger play while pointing at their genitals. And a few people had to go to the emergency room because they blew their genitals off.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What?
And I mean, that was the thing, is to post a video online of you cocking your weapon and then just playing with the play and the trigger while it points at your junk.
No.
Wouldn't that be
wouldn't do
going
that
off
stuff,
half-cocked?
Oh.
That's
Forevermore.
scary, isn't it? I mean, what is that?
And then there was another natural, and I think I saw a video. It was like in a barracks or something. A guy was just resting his arm, like he was leaning against his shotgun, like resting his forearms against it. Just blew both of his arms off. Just
Oh my
standing
God.
there in front of everybody, just
No.
both of his arms blow off, and he just, yeah, it was crazy.
God.
Yeah,
Oh,
weapons are not to be
that's
played with.
awful. Oh my God.
Yeah, you always got to be aware of where that barrel's pointing and where things are.
And I mean, if you're going to have a firearm, surely there's a safety on it. I mean, oh.
I feel
Well,
like Dick
that's the
Cheney should have
thing,
had one of those
with
shirts
that
on.
shotgun. I don't know what the deal was with that shotgun, but something happened, and that's why, like, even if there's going to be a mechanical failure, the last line of defense is, where is that barrel pointing? Like, are you resting your arms on it?
I think the whole idea behind AI is the powers that be have realized that some of these humans need safety switches.
Well, this was the original premise of the Matrix. Whenever we got put in pod, we told AI to protect us, and AI was like, "These dudes smoke and jump out of airplanes for no reason, and like, let's just put them in pod."
They have moving cars coming at them and try and jump over them and do backflips.
Tommy, I'm starting to like you, man.
That's a real, and you know, Harlan Ellison goes about this in the book I Have No Voice But I Must Scream, where then AI takes over the world and ends up destroying humanity, and then keeping 5 humans alive to test on why humans should exist. And it's a fascinating story. There's a video game of it as well that's fascinating. But it really, there's echoes of that in the Matrix that they use alongside Philip.
There's loads of echoes of that, though, Aaron.
Name of the author?
There's loads of stories.
And if you've been sleeping, if it's been too easy to sleep at night, AI told us a story already of how it takes over in like 6 years, but then it leaves the ending like we solve it and like cut its connection from the internet.
Tommy, is that why I can't sleep anymore?
Oh, I can give you lots of reasons not to be able to sleep.
Trust me, I've been around a little while, and it's been looking dark for a longer time than just the last 3 years.
Well, there's more problems than just black people, but I mean,
no, it's not about the color of the skin. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, disavow.
No, just every time somebody said dark this week, I've flipped it.
You're going straight
in the racism.
I know what you're saying. Okay,
straight to the end result.
I have noticed the N-word being ubiquitously used by white people with the N, not the hard R.
Yeah, that's the way you end it.
No. Well, okay,
you
so
have to
let me
make
just
that word worn out.
Sorry, may I just clarify? I had a dark father and a completely white mother. So I'm completely screwed because I don't really give a F what color the skin is on any being. You know, it's the color of your heart.
Fact. No, mixed people are how you get like hot people. Like even I forget who it was, some female black stand-up was like, "Oh, ain't no black woman that pretty without being mixed." You know, like mixed babies are beautiful babies.
I know what you're saying, Tommy, but that's not where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
I'm coming from. All right, maybe I am well, I hope not. I hope that more realize the color of their heart and not the color of their skin, because that's kind of irrelevant. You know, if we this is the confusion and the infighting that is what they want. This is not the way
to go. It's not about skin color as much as culture.
Well, no, but that's their weapon. That is their weapon. That is their weapon. That is their confusion.
No, I mean, like, okay, whenever we were talking about some people might not understand what's going on or the words they're using, some people think that they are racist and they don't realize they just don't like a culture that they see a race involved in.
Right.
Because it was no more apparent than like when I worked at Denver Airport, we had like Kenyans and Filipinos and all kinds of around the world black people, and then we had US black people, and you just see the urban culture difference as they give like the foreign people
Right.
shit for not being black.
Yeah.
Hey
Like
guys,
Americans are
hey, you know
black.
what? Great
Oh, trust
story.
me.
Great story. Great
Go on,
story,
Jack.
guys. Yeah, thank you. You guys kind of forgot I'm here, I guess, or
No,
you really
not
don't
at all.
care. You really
No,
don't
Jack,
care that
we
I'm
see
here.
No,
you.
of course not. In fact, I was going to
You're
try to
the
direct
man.
it back
Come on,
to
Jack.
what's actually
Jack,
going on
bring
with you
it back.
on Christmas, man. What are you doing on Christmas Day, man?
Bring it back,
What
Jack.
plans are you doing?
Always just
Take
having some
control.
liquor and
Actually,
trying not to
you know
eat a
what?
bullet.
Well,
Bring back the Jack.
Manel, please. Thank you. In recognition, I mean, I kind of shared some of my stuff earlier. Thank you, Aaron. But I'm changing my prayer. You know, I'm changing my prayer. I just want someone to want to know what I've got to say. It's like I come on these streams and I know there's people who tune in, but the people who show up, it's like, what? You guys are nuts. Sincerely. Tommy, Manel, I love you. Scott, I love you. You guys are nuts. This
Jack,
world is nuts.
We're nuts and
you
not
get
well.
Jack. Everybody gets to talk. If you're mad that we're not
I?
hanging on your
Do I?
every word,
Really? I mean, but
well, if you got something to, if you want to bring something up, this is called conversation.
right.
Yep.
I know, but here, okay, you're right. Absolutely. What is the purpose of conversation, though? I mean, we can get together and this can be a tea time.
Try and
and
cut
I
a
think
deal,
that's what-
try and get laid.
Right.
trying to
So there I
acquire
go. I
food or
try and
services.
say something. I try and say something. It doesn't fucking matter to you, right, Tommy?
It
I was
does
answering
matter.
your question.
No, you're interrupting me. See, this is what I think is the difference. I love you guys, but here's the reality. When I click go live, it is for a purpose, and it's not just for entertainment. I mean, Aaron does entertainment. I wish I could do entertainment, but that's not my path or purpose. I'm trying to share inspiration, trying to share encouragement. I've been developing my own faith. I know for a fact that what I've been learning could be helpful. And I
well, Jack, some of my frustration is in that faith.
You don't seem to care, Tom.
Well, I care that,
You are
like,
helpful, Jack. That's the whole point. That's why we're here.
Whenever I tell you that you're not doing Christian, I'm suggesting do Christian because you're not. I'm not saying, haha, you can't do Christian. I notice that you say you follow Jesus and this and that. And many times I've told you, well, you're straying from like that biblical faith and
you're
the alignment
judging
of
what you don't understand.
No, you don't understand the thing you were claiming to be.
You don't understand me. You jump to conclusions and you make assumptions about what you think.
Well, I'm open to talking that through without this part.
What?
I'm open to talking that through without this part of you accusing me. Dude, like,
you're such a
like
sweet
the
man.
easiest one to reference with both EBT and you. Tarot is not approved of by the Jesus religion.
So what?
Well, you used to say tarot was a thing to do while you were saying you were Jesus follower.
I don't fall. I'm not a Christian.
But you claim to be on the path of
Tommy.
But you've sat here on your show saying that you're being put through a Jesus path or God is putting you through like some biblical Kanye West thing.
He's talking about his connection to source.
Right, Manel, that's a bunch of truther community flat earth BS. I mean, if he wants to do that, just leave the whole Jesus path thing out.
Freedom. Without freedom, there is no truth.
I'd argue that it's just another metaphor. I mean, why is it any different than your belief? What makes you so much more authoritative?
Because in the Jesus thing,
come on,
it's frowned on.
Okay, but the Easter Bunny also told me that they come once a year. So what does that really mean? You were
Peter
talking about
Found
somebody who is
on to not be
unsubstantiated historically
speaking
and
the
only
Jesus
substantiated by the fact that the man who wrote demonology then had his own Bible rewritten to include certain sections that would make it more realistic, even though we have no despite Romans keeping complete utter incredible records. We have no record of him, unfortunately. Now, and the message is clear. The message should be taken clearly if you want to take that, but do not proselytize, because that puts you into where Leviticus, and this is the non-Christian here telling you, Leviticus only talks about hell in the dark place. And that means
Exactly.
And then he describes proselytizers
Jesus
going
talked
there.
about hell more than anybody else in the Bible.
There is literally no representation for that anywhere in the Bible, except it's called the dark place, because hell didn't exist until the 10th century when the church recreated it, dude. So you can try to talk to me about theology, but you're going to lose every time.
No, Jesus very much spoke of hell and how bad you don't want to go there or have your enemies.
There was no hell in Judaism, my friend. How can you substantiate that when a Jew is speaking from the mount? And I can actually, the only substantiated knowledge of that, if you really want me to talk to you,
I'm not a Jew.
It doesn't matter. Jesus was. And that's the
right.
whole point.
He was a Jew telling the Jews they're doing it wrong.
No, he was a Jew talking about Reformed Judaism from the voice of a female who, by the way, if you really want to talk about the history of this is a Phoenician woman who later became pregnant and traveled across the sea. So you're talking to somebody who's followed this route and literally been to the churches of the.
Yeah, I can tell you've done the cynical tour of.
No, man. I come from a theological family that is more about truth and understanding our human history of how we travel through time, how we understand God, the many faces of God, and how we are all one. So this is the thing: is I say oneness. I see the lessons as communicative for love. I see that the lesson is the same across all patterns. That's why I'm more of a Lao Tzu person, and I'm not cynical. I love humanity. Yeah, and I hear anger from you constantly as a regular, even in a LARP.
Excuse me, Aaron. Did I just hear you say
you've never heard anger? You think anger is like?
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
Moral?
That's
of course it's in the world. Why? There's no.
Not. Are you saying anger is immoral?
No, of course not. It is part and parcel of being alive in reality, my friend. You can't discipline one from the other. And the fact that you would try is to suggest that you understand how that even works, and none of us do.
How what works?
How the reciprocity of balance works.
That's not what we're talking about. See, you're overcomplicating it.
No, I just took it to its final end.
Yeah, no more bullshit.
Yeah, man. Like,
oh my God, I love you.
Tommy's not good with doing shit like that. Hey, Ron.
Hey, I understand, but I love Jack's panel for having the ability for me to share that, because it's kind of a little beyond what I do on my panel. You know, I'm not panel but show, but you know, it's being able to.
You're more than welcome to show up to a large church one Sunday, and we can get into that. But I'm not sure what point you started from and where you were going with all that.
I love you.
Like, I just heard something like, because you see me angry.
Is that cynical now, Jack? Am I the one catching the cynicism on his side, or
no? I'm not being cynical. I'm saying it. Wherever you wanted to go with that. Come out to a LARP church Sunday and hit me up about it. I'd love to talk about it.
I'm always down to try something new. You know, I'm of a wild clan, so you know.
But this thing with Jack is totally different.
Clan.
That's why I wasn't sure if you were going off on that tangent on behalf of like the religious talk or the Jack interaction.
It was relevant. I felt. I think that was. Well said about the divisions, and you said a lot. Aaron, I'm interested in learning more about you, and let me offer to Manel, Scott, Tommy, all of you guys. I'm sorry the grouchy part of me started showing up.
Oh, it's a holiday.
Thank you.
Show your emotion from your heart, Jack, always.
Agreed. Also, catharsis. Hey, catharsis is necessary. Sometimes you got to take a hammer to some wood.
It is. I got a punching bag in the garage. It's been a while since it's been used, though.
I'm sure it's got
simple, Jack. I'm not just okay with other people being transgender. I'm okay with them doing whatever they feel they need to complete their life as happiness, because there is no other choice but happiness unless you want to choose sadness or dourness, and that comes with life.
Well, can I challenge that?
I agree with you, Jay.
Please. I love that. This philosophical challenge. Come on.
Aaron, can I just say something about the transgender thing, though? I feel that there's a confusion been happening, and there's something very, very wrong with teaching very young people to chop off bits of their body.
I think where the line gets drawn there, I can say this from somebody who has as an elder
to do with the Christ, the Jesus Christ.
No, it just has to do with the ethic of what we have somebody who's not fully developed do. Yes. No, so I have a relative who has been trans their whole life. They are from the 50s, and they have gone through a much more troubled time, much less accepting time, and they're just as kind of like taken back by the process now. I believe very strongly that people shouldn't be making this choice until they get the same kind of process that my great aunt went through, which was 7 years. It took 7 years for her to go through the process.
So another issue
you've got to be an adult to choose that kind of thing.
Another issue with what's going on is how many trans people have suddenly made a beeline to children's development and education. And you can't fake being a melanin skin. Like, you're either born with melanin in your skin or not, but any creeper can throw on a dress.
That is arguable because we have our hermaphrodites at the same rate that we have red-haired people.
Right. But I'm saying any creeper can put on a dress and say, I need to go get into this children's education field.
Well, okay,
so
it's a very interesting question that you can't look at really truly until you look at stats to say, is there an actual development above this, or is that just proclivity of people that weren't out of the closet before and now able to transfer? That's a much more nuanced question. Here's my issue is when you start taking this kind of rhetoric where there is a rhetoric, and it's very clear where that line is drawn, into like grammar school and putting it alongside sexual education as that's more than just awareness. Yeah. Well, no, see, that's some. I'll be frank with you. I've looked at that stuff because I've been on these debate bro panels, and that's a bit of rhetoric. Now there are some places.
Have you seen the books they're putting into the libraries of elementary schools?
I know.
Oh well, that's totally different. That's some city county stuff that is really proclivity.
No. It's everywhere. It's here in Scotland and Britain, all over. It's not just in America.
So if it is there, that also means that it's becoming more common.
Something.
Please, if I can, this can all be changed. Right now, there is a lot of confusion, and the confusion is being passed down to the children. And the future I see a future where moms and dads aren't so slaving away for jobs that, for a meager paycheck. I see a future where the community is more involved with the education, and the teachers aren't just trying to educate, without support. I see a lot of ways our world can change, and it'll start through all of us, but I don't know.
Everything, Jack, it seems that everything has been incentivized. Everything's been incentivized by bonuses and vacations, this, that, and the other. Exactly. So you get boards of directors that are literally running wild. And this isn't, it's every township, every city, it's ubiquitous. And it happens trouble across the country. It's everywhere. So at some point, it seems like people are waking up. What?
Is it greed then?
I would challenge a lot of that because
money to do stuff.
A lot of that because I'm not really seeing where there are tax incentives to drive anything other than diversity. Because if you're talking about specifically transgender, like trying to put people in libraries, that is once again across the planet. That has been when I looked at this time and time again on these debate board panels, because trust me, they'll get down to the stats and we'll all be looking at Google and looking at the information, and everybody's got their own reports. And what we found time and time again is it is literally down to the limited local scope, which means that whatever local panel it is didn't check in with their people and make sure that that's what everybody was down for. And this is very common where it's like to extrapolate outward. And by the way, let me just warn everybody, part of the disenfranchisement system has been going on since 2012, when a submarine landed itself on the International Information Pipeline and started feeding everybody a meme mill. And that meme mill is actually processed in Ukraine. But strangely enough, probably not anymore, but it was at some point. And this is stuff you can go look at the DOD pages. And that's what we're literally, you want to talk about all these like strange theories and strange bifurcations and disenfranchisement.
These aren't theories, dude. Have you seen the footage of parents reading these books out loud? And like at the
disgusting, aren't they?
My daughter's
at the PTA meeting, they're like, "Hey, you can't read that," and they're like, "Why do my kids read this if I can't even read it here?"
And the pictures as well.
Oh, that's crazy. The McCarthyism stuff is what really we should be concerned about. That's the stuff we should be concerned about. The less inclusive.
You got a 15-year-old, and what did you find?
I have a 13-year-old, and I live in Kansas, so it's about as conservative as it gets. There is maybe not direct explicit promotion like to the kid, like you should be this, but there's definitely you go in the bathroom and above the hand dryer there's little flyers for the the whatever the rainbow clubs are and stuff in a middle school bathroom. And what I found particularly what bugged me the most about it is the way that the flyer was phrased. It said, do you need are you looking for a place where you can finally be accepted? Well, the implication there is that your family doesn't fucking like you. We got you, bro. It's just insidious, and it's nobody's business. Right. Nobody should be teaching my kid that bullshit.
Wait, was that found? Flow State, was that found at your kid's school?
Yeah, it's at my kid's school.
Holy shit,
man!
That's the stuff I'm talking about, where there's this extra level of now. Both sides going to like I'm sorry, I'm looking for the word for this. It's not even clear. It's like undermining civil establishment by fighting protest, but it's not. It's like just agents of chaos. And I think that they are in their minds well-meaning.
Well, what's fucked up is there's like 7,000 reasons for you not to feel accepted. You might be writing fucking poetry. You might be in the chess club. You might
in middle school, of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Have a billion different things, and they're going to train it to fucking gender. What's the deal there?
I think Jack wants to say something.
Yeah. I bounced that club too, like a decade before it would get shot up, and there was plenty of.
Trying to get your corner, mate.
Thank you. Hey, I think it was Aaron or Scott. Someone said the key, agents of chaos. It's the human nature when it's not in control of itself.
No, it's in control.
It's good. It's good-hearted people with narrowed mind, with blinders on, and they're not paying attention to the damages that are being done.
Because that's not good-hearted, though. If you're only paying attention to your own agenda and ignoring other people's well-being, that's bad-hearted.
Yeah, absolutely. In the end, the result is, by the way, Flo, I'd have to absolutely agree with you on that. And that's the thing is that what's okay. But there's an old statement. It was coined actually during the trials during World War II, which is the banality of evil, and it refers to the guy who was the paper pusher who literally okayed everybody's being sent to Auschwitz. Yeah, and the reason that they went after this guy wasn't that he was a high official. It was that he was just this paper pusher dude in the middle, signing hundreds of thousands of forms. And what they called it was the banality of evil, because he didn't recognize. He thought he was doing the right thing because he's part of the system. He doesn't even recognize he's doing the wrong thing. He thinks he's doing the right thing, but he's literally sending people to their deaths. So, I mean, this is how wild that bad information or bad logic will, anybody could be sent. I'm sorry, anybody could sold stupidity.
That Uncle Fatty said. Uncle Fatty just brought something up that's kind of very interesting, because it should be to the parents where the education comes from. However,
this is what I'm trying to say. Listen, Manel. This is what I'm trying to say when you keep cutting in.
No, you interrupted me.
You're constantly just saying shit while people are talking.
Brought up a brilliant point, and that is that the system has taken the education out of the hands of mother and father. This is where the problem is.
The system, isn't it?
The mother and the father. Austin Murphy says it. We're fucked, Jack. No, we're not. because we can overcome this nonsense.
Yes.
And by educating one another, we will overcome this, and we will stop these nasty buggers from doing this to our children. They
Let's
have
put it
no
this way,
right.
Maybe individuals will stop for their children, but
Well,
listen,
that's
in
how it
Texas,
starts. It is
okay,
with
I
the
don't get to say
individual.
my part,
Yes,
and
you
now
do.
I gotta be the me that Aaron doesn't like. Now
You do
in
get
Texas,
to say your part.
see, she waits
on,
for me to
Tommy.
go.
Thank you, Tom.
Come on,
In
then. Bring it.
Texas, where there's the guns and the freedom and the wahoo, a doctor and a teacher and the school board can assist a child in not letting their parents know they're transitioning.
I know
Like they will.
this. This is happening here as well, not just in America.
Do you think
It's
you could
happening
let me finish a
You're
fucking
not
thought?
saying the right things, and before I bring that up, you're not making the right stance if you already know those things.
No, I'm well aware.
But
You're
Aaron,
right.
Aaron, do
Tommy,
you feel
I'm-
like the
you're
paper
right.
pusher guy? Because you sound pretty like
No, I was
pro-
actually thinking about this. Is like I was trying to figure out how they would get in there and what the options were and what the most likely option of that could possibly be. And here's what came to my imagination. So this is hypothetical. This is totally just speculative. But obviously, a teenager goes online or meets somebody and gets that information from them outside of the school and brings it into the school and then puts it in the urinal. And this is something that is really insidious on the outside.
Did we just reference the books and the
let me finish.
teachers?
Let me finish my thought, man, because this is something that's really where the insidious nature comes from. Most of this stuff is going to come from online, and they're going to find it somewhere, and that's where the adult is pushing it. And the adult is pushing it because they're getting access, and it comes back to education of the parents as the boundary oftentimes that then allow that. And we can only watch so much, right? You can only watch so much. So these things will slip through the cracks. But the insidious nature of that, it being out there and
when your
available
child
to
is
kids
in school, that's
We
not online,
just
though.
told you
Aaron.
this stuff is in the
No, what I'm saying is,
curriculum.
where do the cards
It's
come
the
from?
Teachers
The cards don't
and
magically
in the library.
They came
and
from
you're
the
saying
school.
It, comes in
It
through
was
the internet.
it was the school administration
Right,
that
one
put
at a
up the
time, though.
school-sponsored club.
Come
Oh,
on.
you're kidding me. That's
No.
totally other different PTA
But look,
crazy.
This
PTA
is Kansas. This is the richest county in Kansas. This is the mildest there is across the country. All this just sprang up all at once everywhere, and it's being pushed at a state level because really states control what happens in schools, not local counties.
Exactly.
I would say that what's really weird is I'm out here in Cali and wait, hold on a second. No, but I'm in a fairly you wouldn't believe it, but the whole center of the state is actually really like red. But where I'm at is also very red out here outside of LA. And in my particular case, it's like I'm thinking about this. I'm like, I should check into this around the schools to see if any of this has been popping up. I'd be really shocked if it was around here because it's so like very.
And here's the thing: is that like unless I went into the school bathroom because I had to take a leak during an event, right?
So you saw this in your going to the bathroom.
I saw it because I took a piss in the bathroom, not because there's ever anything notifying the parents any of this stuff at all.
Yeah, that's wrong. That's just wrong. That's where the parents should be having the choice.
I would suggest that this is definitely happening in your schools, unless you check.
Dude, he's in California.
Not online, though. It's in the schools.
So, most populous, wealthy state in the nation. Yes.
Right, and most leftists, like even with if we left schools
there's
out
a lot of
even
people
if
in
we
the state of California,
schools,
bro.
Even if
most
we left schools,
you realize
even
that
if we left schools, even if we left schools, even if we left schools out of the conversation, California is leading the country in tyranny, loss of freedom, instating.
Yeah, that's funny because none of us really
policy.
feel that, but people outside the state seem to feel that, which is very weird. It's very odd to me because it's always coming from outside the state. That's not what we feel here.
The state, we have
my neighbors are rolling. Hold on a second. My neighbors are rolling around, firing off guns into the hills.
And I remember you, gentlemen, that this has been brought on by a structure system that's been around for a very long time, and they brought this transgender nonsense into our world like decades ago, literally decades ago. It's not new. They're just ramping it up now.
From the fall of the angels, from the garden expulsion. It's been since then.
When was that exactly? When in human history?
That's not a useful claim. Like,
I agree, Flo.
I'm saying as long as mankind have walked the earth, it's been the god of this world beast.
No.
Right,
This
we
is
get it, but it's just not
this
a
is
helpful
more
point to
recent
make
than
right
that,
now.
but it is also a lot older than now. So it's not just a few
Oh yes,
decades.
now it's a lot older than now. Yeah,
Definitely. So we're going back several centuries, but we're not going back thousands of years. This is quite a modern. So in terms,
None of this matters. The history of it doesn't matter, though.
Just one moment. Just
okay.
bear with me. Just a minute. Just bear with me. So when we go back and we think of the 16th century, that's only like 400 years ago. That's not that long ago.
Did you just say?
It still didn't matter. Nothing about that mattered.
Don't forget about the 7 o'clock thing.
No, my point. All right, my point is this: is that this system, and we call them the Zionists, right? Some people say they're the Illuminati and they're this and that and the other. They're the Zionists, right? And they are literally, they've infiltrated every single land.
Disavow.
So
if you want to be real about that, hold on a second. If you want to be real about that, they're called the Hermetic Order.
Okay,
this is why I tried to cut you off, because this doesn't matter at all. We're not, as long as everybody keeps pulling in all sorts of tangential bullshit, it's just going to be a shit show of blah, blah, blah. Look.
Well, it is a shit show. It's a shit show.
But we're talking about a specific thing. There's a specific thing. It's the promotion of trans shit, right? We don't need to know about the Rosicrucians in the fucking 1500s. It's not helping the point.
Because but how do you control a population? You make them all fucking gay and transgender.
See, this is why you're ineffective.
They don't make children anymore. So they're not going to have families.
That is the most extreme QAnon thing I've heard in a couple weeks. But congratulations,
I don't even disagree with you. You're just disruptive. You're disrupting the conversation because you're not adding to it. You're distracting from it.
To be honest. I listen to a lot of these folks just to observe and see what's being said, and that's like turning the frogs gay. It's just not very realistic. It's not very social.
I know I was sterilized as a child with injections, so I know what they're doing. Okay,
See,
it's not
like intentional. It's almost intentional. It's almost like you're intentionally disrupting the conversation. Yes, you.
It's not
fucking A.
It's not intentional.
Then it's just retarded.
It's ding. It's patterns. We all have patterns, and we're all learning to communicate better.
So instead of like actually trying to get somewhere on the topic at hand, we've gotten absolutely nowhere on 1,000 different topics now.
No, we almost got there. I actually would agree with you on a point that's like kind of astonishing to me, that the PTA had no say in that. You weren't notified of it. Somebody named SH pointed out in the chat that, like, yeah, the kids should have somewhere to go to talk about it. That's what school counselors have always been for. But then the parents should be notified. People should know because they're minors. So with the whole thing of it being in the bathroom, it just boggles my mind that you wouldn't know about it, that there being a program for it, or any of that.
No, nothing. And we regularly have to sign permission slips for all sorts of things, to take a survey, to do this, to do that, but nothing.
Sex ed, you have to fucking. I'm sorry for my cursing, Jack. You have to sign something. So as somebody, and by the way, I'm a liberal. I vote liberally. But I also vote center because taxation.
I never vote.
Well, are you in the U.S.?
The problem I have is as soon as they say that you don't feel like you fit in, they're going right to genitalia. What the fuck?
Well, or just sex in general, right? Like that. I just don't see what this. It just isn't their realm. Teach them to read. Teach them to write. Or just fuck off altogether. I don't like the public school system at all. Oppression education is
a creepy
oppression tool, but that's a different topic altogether too. But I did want to, when I clicked the link, there was a couple points that were made that I wanted to hit, and I lost them now.
Yeah, where's Tommy?
They'll come back.
I hope Tommy comes back. That was a good conversation with Tommy, actually.
Okay.
At least I've never heard him screaming at someone, most likely like Hormax or somebody. So that wasn't.
He was actually trying to be good. You did continuously interrupt him. So I don't blame him for being pissed off. But one of the claims that was said is that the reason that maybe it wasn't the claim, but we think that probably one of the reasons that there's more trans people coming up now is because they were repressed previously, not because they're being influenced to change, right? Like they were always there. Now they're just
combination, because you've got the
Amen,
influence of
Siren.
and I would also say that TikTok, when people
how
are
much
coming
to
away
pay
with
her off the panel? How much to buy her off the fucking panel?
Respect.
Think about it.
Yes, respectfully, Manel, please. Be more mindful when others are speaking.
Okay.
Sorry.
I do think that the influence of like TikTok and stuff like that has, without question, irrevocably changed some balances. I think that's part of us. My belief is that it's urban warfare from others upon us, as TikTok is owned by the Chinese. But we've
actually agree with that.
We've seen kids come away with Tourette's syndrome from using it, and they're mimicking. They don't actually have Tourette's, but they start mimicking it. And then it becomes an actual syndrome, which is really gnarly. And yeah, I've looked at this in great detail. There's a thing called aphasia, and there's two. Although there is no finished study, there is a study group on it, and two of the reports on the study do cover high frame rate and fast frame rate or fast motion graphic as causes of aphasia, which is they're tiny tremors in the brain that cause anything from brain damage in tiny amounts at the neural level. And it's originally associated to things like Parkinson's and such, but it may be that people are actually experiencing aphasia at high levels at a younger age during their development, and thereby causing all sorts of problems from actual neurological disorders to the perception of a neurological disorder that can create a DID like state, which is dissociative identity disorder, meaning that your personalities don't fuse properly. Not even like completely, they just don't fuse properly. In this case,
it's multiple personality rebranded a bit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, multiple personality is the old version of it. The DID is more descriptive in that it has different components and people can compartmentalize different stuff.
Right.
But like the far out DID is what everybody knows. It like there's 20 people. And
my ex-wife has DID, so I'm familiar with it.
Okay, yeah, my aunt is actually one of the rare cases of somebody who healed herself, and she's a therapist.
Now, is this the same aunt that you referenced earlier?
No, different aunt. That's a great aunt. That's an elder. That's a totally other, and she's amazing.
I forgot you. Yeah, you both have pattern backgrounds with psychology, and you guys have both spent some time looking into those things.
Oh yeah.
Me as well.
I grew up around it, and then and theology and all sorts of smart philosopher people and artists, and at some point studying psychoacoustics and just trying to stay in school as long as I could without actually graduating.
Psychoacoustics. What is psychoacoustics? How different sounds affect brain function?
That is part of it. It's actually the study of the ocular cavity and how the resonant frequencies inside interact with the neural patterns with your eyes, how the whole story works, and how
I bet that's fascinating.
That's what I was just thinking.
Initially, it was very nerdy, but the older I get, the more I appreciate that. Thank you, Dick Grove School of Music made me start there. And as a study, because there was no production art, there was no like what there are. There was no degree for what I do, So they were like, "Well, you're an audio guy, right?" And I wanted to do production, and so they started me there. And thank goodness, because I really did get a better education. And starting there also sent me back to community college, which ended up I audited every college, university class, and then ended up going to UCLA where they were letting us audit classes at some point. So I went above and beyond. I take my classes, complete them, and then you could just go take stuff,
How cool. Good for you.
Can you clear something up real quick before we go anywhere else before I lose the thought? 432 hertz versus 440 hertz. Is that a real thing, or is that people talking?
Yeah, no, that's a real thing.
Real thing, absolutely.
Scott, I didn't ask Scott on purpose.
I know a lot about it.
There's a real thing in that in 432.7, is the actual waveform of A without dissonant harmony. 440 is the tunable A that is easier to adjust to because it is a rounded number and easier made by modern equipment.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it really has also to do with the fact that, like, tuning in an orchestra, you've got 3 different tune sections, which is B flat A. I'm sorry, it's B flat, E, and C. So different instruments have different bass tunings or root tunings, and then everybody tunes to the 440A because that's the one note that they all have in common as far as like the mid-range waveform, and because it's slow enough to hear, but not too slow or not too fast.
But the impacts of the different the 441 is more negative on humans than the 432. Is that true as well?
No, that stuff is a little. Your brain does recognize dissonant harmony. It does. So there's this whole transient wave stuff. I love using this in the mix on a large scale because it makes everything sound like a CD. But what it also does is it strips away all the dissonant noise and distortion in like the audio mix, especially when you've got a real print of what your show is supposed to look like. The computers nowadays, when you're using this kind of technology, will like strip away all this stuff that the human brain doesn't need to hear, and the human brain knows it's not there. It just, you don't know why. You go to a concert, it's like, how the frick does this sound like a CD? Is that a tape? No, it's really happening. But it's just, we're stripping away anything that's not necessary. And leaving the root harmony, root tones. But in this case, so the brain recognizes the dissonance. It sees, it hears and feels, especially with digital audio, as kind of a agitation.
Therein lies the problem.
But just because something is unpleasant or irritating doesn't mean it's actually harmful.
No, not at all. Not where it becomes harmful is not in that range. Actually, it's all the stuff that I've looked at in the audio weapon zone is all in the low zone, like really down at 7.23, 6.7. Some of these really dissonant harmony low notes that you can't hear, that at very high volume can disrupt internal organs, can mess with your brain. And now there's all sorts of LRAD and MAD technology that allows, reflection of a source like a laser beam. And I can just basically tune into your brain sac and transmit straight into it, and nobody else can hear it. It's really messed up stuff.
Aaron, let's talk about not causing harm or irreparable harm, but we're just going from 432 to 441, and we're recording everything there. Could it raise somebody's anxiety level a little bit?
Depends on if they have a proclivity to it. I had a mentor named Coy back in the day. Not that it matters to anybody, but it just popped in my head. His name was Coy, great dude, who worked on studies of the and I always wonder if they actually like tested this on like people with mental health issues. But I know that they did a lot of tests on 8-bit to 16-bit quality, check on whether or not people recognized it, whether or not he worked for a to D company, a company that was doing A to D, the tech of how to get analog to digital. And he told me basically that for a very long time they had a problem because they would just use the test of a violin bow string pulling, and people would get very agitated by the bit frame rate, basically at the 8 bits frame, 16-bit less. So that's why we're at 24-bit in general nowadays, 16-bit if you're on your phone. And people don't notice it because there's actually a higher inclusion of all the frequencies at 48 kilohertz. Oftentimes nowadays recordings are done at 96 kilohertz, which is even more inclusive of all the frequency zone. But that being said, is what Coy would say is back in the day, it would agitate people. And some people who had a proclivity towards mental illness would be more agitated than others.
I know that there were studies back in, I knew of the studies back in the mid 80s that some of the looking at how frequencies affect people. And we are frequencies. There's a lot of power in frequencies and sound, and just the the change of the 432 to 440, it's another one of those things in history that makes you really I think it's another one that makes you wonder.
Yeah, there may be a little bit of just technical adjustment there. A lot of that stuff ends up being because like what they thought was the thing, while they were making it with the hammer and the iron, wasn't what it turned out to be when we looked at it with an oscilloscope with high resolution. And that's how that stuff tends to change. So, but I will say this is there is without a doubt a growth in use of that information. We use it in concerts. I've used it to manipulate massive crowds into unified joy. Let's just say, and where you can direct the audience. And I learned this, by the way, very young. A relative of mine was in a very high position with the Grateful Dead, toured with them till the last end. And I'm very blessed. He was a historian too, and I got to see the backstage before most people. That's what made me wanted to get into rock and roll amongst many other things. But one of the things I saw that is one of the reasons why I really went into design or production in the end, out of being a tech, was the fact that my cousin once told me, we're standing in the audience, and Dead shows had wonderful lighting done by a lady, by the way. And she designed a lot of those early moving lights, and she designed the color patterns and all sorts of things that didn't exist. The moving gobos and stuff like that. There were dudes up in chain controlled bicycles that were moving spotlights in the air. She really had some wild stuff going on. A real groundbreaker. But the biggest deal that she used was the Pythagorean method that associated color to frequency and modality and mood. And then she associated mood based off of the fact that she started studying the work of Dr. Helen Fisher, who mapped out where desire, pain, pleasure, love, hysteria, anger, you name it, where all of those chemical reactions happen in the brain, right? So she has done a lot of science to this, and what my cousin pointed out, great cousin, by the way, it's my mom's cousin, pointed out was like, he said, you want to see something fun? I said, yeah, we're standing out in the audience. And he goes, everybody in the green section is going to start to spin, and everybody in the red section is going to start to touch themselves because they're going to heat up.
What the fuck?
And sure enough, they drop down to Shakedown Street, and the orange sections start to shimmy. The green sections start to spin inside of the green light. Once they step out into the orange, the amber, they're shimmying. Once they got to the red, everybody's, touching themselves. And I've seen this. I have a video of it. It's 10,000 people in a pink tent party, where the Dutch were doing testing on the electromagnetic levels given off by what they were calling precursor brainwaves. And it's basically an antenna in the air, and we were in an damn near enclosed environment that had its own minute ecosystem because of the temperatures. There's about 10,000 people under this tent all day long, and a mist formed with the people's dander and sweat, and also a certain amount of diffusion being let out, which is fog, not full fog, but just this diffusive fog that you can see through, and it would grab the dander and give them something to measure. In fact, it rained inside the tent at one point, which is really gross, by the way, really gross. But
from the sweat?
From the sweat. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was really gross, and we had to cover the front house. Really messed up. But you can see this video that all day long we were able to see on the meter right before everybody was about to jump. And it had nothing to do with the audio because it wasn't measuring audio. It was all electromagnetic waves. It is everybody's brainwave together because they're in the binaural connection. Your brain is now, everybody's at the same beat. And then what happens is your neurological system ends up on the same balance and timing. And then right before that, your brain sends off an electrical signal that when in mass, when you've got a way to carry that wave, where you carry that electricity, which is the combiner of the that steam and the dander and all that, humans become like one. And you literally can see that the whole wave goes whoop, right, like a little bump right before everybody jumps.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I went to a Slipknot show 2 years ago, and they've got a song where after the bridge, it goes jump, right? And they drug out the bridge, made it longer. Yeah. And everybody in the whole, like I was in the pit, from the pit all the way back to the back of the lawn, everybody was participating in it. It was wild. I remember I filmed it. I've got a video on YouTube. And I couldn't believe how 100% of the crowd was participating in squatting through this whole bridge, kind of waiting while the guitar builds. And then everybody jumped. It was pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah. Symbiosis and crowd connection is, when it happens in mass, is such an astonishing, like, it's such a life affirming thing, especially like when you're at the other end of it, which the audience, most of the time, the audience is never going to understand. They're only part of it. But like, for instance, I've got a video. I'm about to put it up, actually, coming up here soon, where when I was working with this one artist, we were down in Brazil. It's a very musical country, and we were touring around the country, and he had a song that was a hit with a Brazilian artist called Boa Sorte. The audience, he didn't speak the Portuguese lines. He just sang the English lines that ran across the Portuguese. And the entire audience of 70,000 people sang in harmony the other portion of the song to us. And I get chills still thinking about it to this day. It made all of us tear up. Everybody on stage was in awe. And what I heard that night, I swear to God, what I have on film there, I believe is the voice of God. I think that's the voice of God, is when you hear everybody in harmony speaking to you. If you want to talk about a proofing that we are a species made of everything around us, that is it. The harmony was undeniable, that there was a larger voice happening.
That's pretty cool. I'm curious, Aaron. You've alluded to some things about your past where I am very curious. It sounds like you've lived a fascinating adventure. So what can you share so I understand where these perspectives are coming from a little better?
Well, as far as what I've been really lucky, man. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask your approximate age, because my dad was born in the mid 50s, and he grew up in the LA area, and so a lot of the things you're saying are sort of familiar. He actually went to UCLA at first for music.
Oh, nice. No, I went to I'm 49, by the way. So when I went to Dick Grove, before I actually went back to community college, that then allowed me to take the auditing stuff at UCLA, it was 91, 92. I think I was done by 94 when they basically kicked me out, because they were like, you either graduate or pay for all the credits. And and I just wanted to keep going to school, to be honest with you. I was really enjoying it. I was doing, running my PA around, doing hip hop on the weekends, and doing, at that time I was still like helping produce. I'm a theater kid, man. I grew up, I'm a SAG-AFTRA person. I'm a self-motivated, I'm an artist, man. I literally, like, when I say that, it's hard to explain. I'm very blessed. I came out at a time, my whole life, I've been really lucky on a certain level. My whole life, I'm also challenged. I'm imperfect. I've had a lot of tough times. I've had to fight for every single inch of space I've ever had, mostly because I'm odd man out in many cases. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just a thing. It's just a thing. Every space I've been in, it's an underdog world. But I feel like that's kind of art, I mean, most of my gigs in the 90s were because nobody else wanted them. Hip hop, nobody would let you do a show in a venue in Los Angeles, so I provided the PA, and we'd do special event stuff that would always be under the guise of competitions or booty shaking this, or dance room, So I got to, I just really very blessed to be around it and just like willing to take part. I had great musician mentors. One of my mentors was involved for a very long time with really kind of straight ahead pop, rest in peace, Michael Sherwood. He was involved with Toto and Air Supply. And once again, I got gigs that nobody else wanted to start with. I was always willing to take take my knocks in every single way. My first big gig, it can be argued, was basically gotten while I was sweeping trash into a trash can on a stage.
And who was it?
That was Snoop. That one was Snoop. That's where the first long-term touring was out with the Dog Pound, and then out with the Cat Band. But before that, I actually worked for Warren G.
You a sound engineer?
I am. That's where I started. Yeah, as far as that stuff is concerned. Yeah, but I mean, my background is in. I was building sets as a teenager. my friends are all in TV and production and theater, big theater. And so I was building sets with them. We were doing our own shows as kids, making money, like doing JC Superstar because it made money so that we could then go do our Weird Avant, off Santa Monica Boulevard stuff and pretend that the guy who looked oldest could actually rent the space.
What's the guy that sings for Toto that goes out on his own? I've got a couple buddies.
Michael? That's one of my actual credits. I have a song that I produced with my late music partner Michael Sherwood that Michael McDonald sang on. That's on a movie somewhere.
Do you know the guys he goes around and plays with? They've toured some buddies of mine, or they go by the name Storm.
Oh no, I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with them. I was going to ask you the Picaros.
No, they go out with it. He's got a couple bands he plays with that takes around, but one of them is Storm.
They're older cats, and Michael never brought me around those guys really. Our scene was the Tuesday Night Music Club per se at Genghis Cohen in LA.
Right.
And that was more Danny Peck, Michael Sherwood, and a lot of people that ended up around in like the 90s rock and roll pop scene, and a lot of music. Like Michael wrote a Michael Jackson tune at one point in time, and Michael wrote actually things that everybody's heard in commercials. I have the studio still to this day, and it's one of those things where I'm always amazed at. I'm going through just his music collection, and I find things that I found things that he sold as a ghost that are pop hits.
Oh, wow.
One of which actually became a hit after he passed. And normally what he'd do is he'd sell it outright. So, because he's a musician. So just so you know, anyways, but I just, growing up in LA, man, I'm a Valley kid.
So what's the deal with Rick Rubin? How is it possible that Rick Rubin's produced every good thing in 30 years? And is he a wizard?
Taste. He's a weirdo. He's a wizard, dude. No, that dude's
a fucking wizard. There's
a couple of them I've met that are just like they're always wonderfully odd, very intellectual, really smart. And it's always, they're weirdos. They're super weirdos, but they're really nerdy about music. The last major band that I was my title was executive assistant in lieu of management. So I was running the business, but I was also production manager and tour manager, blah, 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 mixing the band. There's one of those, two of the guys that are DJs, and one of them is an incredibly prolific collector and producer. And he's just like them. He produces stuff you wouldn't even know he's on that just changes the world, right? And it's because their knowledge of music is so intense, and they live it very deeply.
Rubin isn't a musician though.
No, he's appreciation. Well, neither is the DJ. He's not playing any instruments, but it's their appreciation for it. It's their knowledge of it and their ability to see it. And one of the things was pointed out to me a long time ago, by the way, is very weird about the music business is when the mob was involved very deeply with it, running the companies for real, like Capitol and stuff like that. The best music was coming out like in the 70s because they would put people in charge that were just like their cousin Vinny who knew music. And it was he likes music, put him in charge of A&R. What is that? I don't know, but he likes the music, give him a job. And it turned out these guys would generally trust the musicians or trust this. So we get these explosions of very creative folks, throughout time. And I don't think it's till just recently we started to see this explosion again, which there's so many creative artists that are kind of hidden in the mire of especially music, of just there being too much now.
That's what my dad said. That's why he did not continue with music as a degree. He realized there's just talented musicians everywhere, and
everywhere.
It doesn't matter how talented you are, to some level.
Yes. Yeah. You can be a super talented person. I have a colleague. He had every record company like after him, and then they weren't. Man, he super talented, super amazing, couple great albums. He's in advertising.
This is, I think, a sign of the world where the world it's not the way it should be because we've got a lot of talent that's hidden. People are missing out on really sharing with the gifts that they've got within them.
True.
I mean, think how many Einsteins or how many artists are, settled in because they found a job flipping burgers or they found a job, whatever.
Well,
Holding
isn't that
themselves back.
Jack? Do you think that's part of the and actually, float? You're also a floater on many far off panels. So, do you think that maybe the frustration of there being a swamp of all this information and all these possibilities, but not being able to find it? Do you think that's part of the agitation that's going on out there?
Not being able to find the answer, refine the question a little bit.
I'm sorry, just like when we're talking about this, where it's the art, it's the collective, it's the connection to some message that resounds with you. It's the ability to like find the finite, find something that is, where we used to go to the store, and let's just keep using music. You looked in the rock aisle, you looked at the pop aisle, you looked at the hip hop. Maybe you wouldn't look at the others, but there was like only so many choices. You only got 100 choices. Now you've got 80 million choices, literally, that are endless, and you still can't get to the end.
And you also can't even trust the choices that you have anymore to an extent, because it's the honesty of the impression that you're given. Does that make sense? There's the algorithms and the bots and all that shit. Fuck with your perception of what is what and what place things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I fight over, and work to deprogram in just my show of, and it can only be done one at a time, by the way. I say this quite often, but it is a thing. What you're talking about there is a very much a thing. Like there is, to know what to trust is a questionable situation. It's almost become like there's a group of people that have suspended their belief, so they don't trust anything, and there's another group that's suspended their disbelief completely, to the point where they don't know that it's a show. So between the two, you've got everybody arguing about what's real and what's not, and none of it is really real until some freak makes it real. Am I getting too obtuse? I'm sorry.
I mean, no, I think that there is something there, and I think that people are given there's too many options and too many angles, and people are not able to narrow into one comfortable slot, right? Because the minute that you think that you've got, say, not to be provocative, but that you've got sex figured out, there's two of them, then boom, that shit changed. That's probably a bad example, but you get what I'm trying to say.
No, absolutely. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Ron, what do you think about a question earlier Sterling asked about the what do you think about most famous people being or having sold their soul to the devil? Sold their soul for fame.
I'm knowing a lot of very famous people and how they struggle in daily lives and how they work very, 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 very hard. That is undermining to the human spirit. That is suggesting that the only way to make. Now, I'm not going to tell you that there aren't people that haven't spoken to Legba. I'm not going to tell you that there aren't people in the world that haven't maybe traded. I often say that I sold my soul to travel and tour, but they're misunderstanding the metaphor. What you do when you're in touring and music is you're literally trading normalcy. You're trading family, you're trading birthdays, you're trading all life for your art.
Yeah.
So you do literally sell your soul to your own fucking devil.
You're not on the fame end of things. That would more pertain to the fame end of things, I think.
The quick route. True, and there are devils out there that will let you sell yourself to them. Trust me, that is another thing.
I think there's an industry out there that's full of people that will, and I think it's coming to light that will trade your soul for fame, and then they'll take advantage of you, and that's in essence how you're trading your soul.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, if you want to talk about the real world aspect on the step back on the meta, I said it earlier. There's a thing, and I don't know if you feel comfortable with me talking about this because it's a little dangerous.
The underbelly of the dark world.
Yeah, the far off underbelly, which is we have to express
knowledge, and it's there.
The order.
We love danger. Bring it on.
Yeah, the Hermetic Order is a real thing. They have other groups underneath them, like the Process, that is committed to committing atrocities in order to create avatars that commit atrocities in order to feed negative energy, propaganda, you name it. They can get people to do whatever they need because it's not just the powerful, and it's definitely not Hollywood, not en masse. Because I would say I'm currently covering a thing that has shocked me to my core. It is 600 pages of FBI files that cover a group called the Finders. The Finders are a cult of military and government, and I wish I could be making this up, but I got this from the FBI government library pages. And the more
What's it called? Tell me what that is again.
They're called the Finders. And even, I mean, it's like one of the things where, like, you know, all of the conspiracy theories in the world are all great until you read what it really looks like in an FBI file. But the other thing is I come with the understanding of doing a ton of research into MK Ultra through the CIA government website pages, and also reading the government reports on the subject. And the issue that I have, and now I've taken it to somewhere else, is that when you're looking at the real deal, you're looking at groups of people that are not, that'll sell you that, like, yeah, it's definitely Hollywood. Why? Because they don't want you looking at the most benign, trustworthy space. Your government. You're supposed to be able to trust everybody in it. But unfortunately, there's such a big thing. Comes back to the swamping again, that you can't pick out the 6 weeds in amongst the entire field of corn. And that 6 sets of weeds may end up destroying the entire field in the long run, but it happens in such a creep pace that you can't actually find it. So this is another thing about this, that in reading about the Finders, and once again, these are reports.
That's about the children, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely about the children, and it's more about the fact that what they are describing and those that they have rescued and the remains is not just horrifying. No, it coincides with it coincides with program MK Monarch. MK Monarch was the use of torture and sleep deprivation in order to separate the brain so that they could create DID. Thank you. So that a person was controllable. And memory loss. But when you do that to somebody in their formative years, it is guaranteed control, because that's when proper DID begins, is the inability to form personality in your teenage years. And the horror of the outlets and such that come out of this program, that come out of these practices. Now, the CIA disavows this information, despite the fact that there are now local records I find that correspond and actually show the agents' names and show the people they picked up that were then released by government authority. So we're talking about, this is not unknown, man. This is all really horrifying stuff, and it's the kind of thing that, like, people were looking at Pizzagate unfounded. Now, how did everybody miss this? This comes back from this. This literally is a trail. This program the investigation ends in the late 90s here. So how is it this has existed across like 40 years of investigation, essentially? And nobody seems to know about it, but they know about Pizzagate.
Right, exactly.
Because of corruption, and the world is not as it seems. And I've been learning a lot about some of the darkness and some of the sickness, the mind control, the torture, even the child sacrifice, human sacrifice. There's a disease and a sickness that's in this world. And, you know, what do we do with it? I believe it is time for us that all of these signs, all with the technology, with the communication, with the way things are. Someone said there was a discussion earlier about a flood of information. And we're living at a time right now where we have the opportunity to navigate through as much of this information as we can and figure out what we want to know. I want to change the world with what I've learned.
I just want to point out that war is deception, and so for every new truth that we discover, there's people need to have a little bit more discernment than to just believe everything that's thrown at them, and that's what kind of irritates me about the truth community, is that to get somebody off the trail, give them what they're looking for, more extreme, and send them on that goose chase. So that's what. Yep.
No, you're describing the manipulation of urban warfare. Mental subjugation via propaganda, and that's something that I have been very interested in a long time. It's the way dictators come to rise. It's the way tyranny comes to rise. It was always a question in my brain, because how was it that an entire section of my family was convinced to stay in Germany in 1937, 38, that they felt comfortable to stay where they were, despite all of the family in the U.S. going, you need to come over here. You need to come over here. You need to come over here. This is going to be something terrible. We're seeing reports that you're not seeing. How is this all possible?
Are you Jewish?
Not by practice, but by, by background.
I mean, is that why they would, were they endangered for that reason? Or
yeah, they were endangered because it was very clear that the anti-Semitism was rising, and that the Gestapo had risen up, and it was after the night that they burned the first of the shtetls, or the ghettos, that my family started saying the Stoltenite, or anyways. So yeah, the point being is that what would make them feel comfortable to stay there, but other than just the lack of having the connection to the things that were actually going down, because you aren't seeing it. You are.
I mean, and if things were the same back then as they are now, there's constantly threats looming everywhere. If you read the news, so being able to suss out the right one from that list of ever impending dooms is damn near impossible.
You're on to my next portion of the point, which is that now we've got the opposite. We don't know when it's a threat.
Correct. Well,
we think we do. And so people are starting to respond to things that aren't threats as threats. Well, you pointed this out before, where it's like, oh, you don't want to look at this one thing. Here's the thing that's more extreme that really gets your point, that you'll agree with. Here's the echo box, and here's the more extreme because it's like a more for your dopamine, jolt. Right. And even remember the nuclear warning in Hawaii?
Yes.
I mean, there was surveys after the fact that show that people weren't trusting the system anymore out there. And when the fire warning came in Maui, people initially were languid to move.
I heard it didn't come.
Well, yeah, there's that too. And we could look at all sorts of, social or structural alarms.
There was a joke in there. It didn't come. There's a joke that I didn't capitalize on. The thinking fingers.
Well, I'm feeling the wrapping it up, the completion. There's other stuff already going on tonight too. So
yeah, Tom's. I'm going to Tom's in a bit. This is a very interesting topic.
I love Jack's panels, man. It's definitely a different kind of conversation to be had over here for certain, sir.
You've got the juxtaposition of our host and his message with all the rest of us motherfuckers and our insanity. So,
fact.
It's craziness. It's humanity. This is the cosmic experience that's happening. We are it. We are the show. We are the audience. We are the show, the actors, the stage builders. We do it all. And yet, how much do we actually do? Because the stage is already set. The actors are already in their roles. We just got to figure ourselves out.
That's actually a really lovely thought, man. That is a really lovely thought.
I think it's gay.
I know. Hey,
but no, I guess I would think that we do more than we think that we do, but there's no way to really know that, is there?
Yeah, it's part of the problem of the self-reflective being.
Mm-hmm. We can overcome the confusion. We can overcome the division. I mean, actually, that's the reminder I had earlier. The mask of thoughts is creating the illusion of separation. We're not separated from each other. We're not separated from the divine. We're not separated from the past. We're not separated from the future. We are right now. And that's all we've got to be. And it's perfect. Today's a holy day for many. It really is. The Christmas Day, and people celebrate the birth of Jesus. But it was pointed out by someone else, and what I've been receiving for myself, today's a day to celebrate the birth of you, the birth of the Christ in you, the true you, the authentic you that's coming forth.
I like how you went from Christian to Luciferian and just circled the whole thing in one sentence.
I was about to add in a little pagan love there, where like we are at the solstice, man. This is what that's about. Is when it's time to start planting seed and grow the field again.
And really, nothing's even real unless we believe it is, right? So some solipsism, but it doesn't matter at all anyways. So there's your nihilism.
Nihilism. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
We've got it all, the complete gift.
And you don't have to listen to anybody to command yourself. Anarchy.
Anarchy.
And that's the one right there.
This is leading me to consider alcoholism.
You should have been considering that for a while now.
I was about to say, I support anything you do that makes you joy.
Amen.
Almost anything. I'm sorry, I'm going to take that back.
Right. There's limits. There's limits, but this world, it can really get to us, and it gets to other people around us too. And it's real easy for us to create these imagined differences of, I'm so much better than them. They're so much better than me.
Some of those differences are real. I am really better than a lot of people. I was about to name names, but then I just
good job.
A little bit.
We'll show up.
Good restraint.
I wanted to take the opportunity to take a few shots, but
supremacy of ego. Hey, supremacy of ego with a good shot. That's part of being human and having fun.
I don't know.
If you can't tap somebody in the ribs once in a while, what is life about?
With a knife. Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you have to.
No.
If you get
that close.
Be thankful for all the opportunities you're given.
True, because then you got to look them in the eye, and they got to look you in the eye.
That's the best part.
Hey, that
all
is.
Right,
now it just got weird. Sorry, Jack.
I do want to wrap it up. Illumitami's starting his Rage Monday soon, and We Are Awake is going, and Truth or Cop is going. Are you doing something later too, Flo? Or
I don't have any plan to. Probably not. But I am going to Tom's, and he's got. I don't really know how to describe it, but he's got a thing that he is planning on us to do. So I think I've got a portion of whatever's happening over there. So I am going over there now.
Is it gay, Flo?
Rage.
Is it gay? I don't know yet. He hasn't said, but I'm sure you'll be there, hoping it is. Kleenexes in hand.
Yes, of course. I'll be hoping. Hey, Ron, it was nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
Before I go, I want to say a couple things I'm thankful for. Just people and places and things. We all have a lot around us to be thankful for, and we should recognize that. So, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Respect. Thank you, Scott. Bless you.
What would it be without Scott's generic positivities? I swear to God, if a person was one of those daily calendars, you rip off the sheet and then there's another little quote underneath it.
I wish I could like come up with that kind of normalcy.
He's got a lot of one-liners and a lot of encouragement in him. He does.
He does.
Scott's a good dude.
He's a good dude. He's wrong about some things, and something about him makes me want to bully the fuck out of him.
Isn't there something in all of us that's wrong though? Just like inherent.
Oh, I'm not even saying wrong. It's not even like they're not even wrong things. They're just, I don't know, personality quirks. I just want to give them a fucking swirly.
I know. Okay, so are you where are you in your family? I'm not. I'll let you. I'm sorry,
Oldest.
Jack, but oldest. That's what it is. If you and I were around long enough, I would start doing things literally just you would want to like throw me through the wall. I am the youngest of 4, so it naturally happens around.
Yep.
Yeah, it naturally happens around people like that.
I could see that. All right, let's wrap it up.
Anyways,
Okay.
I'll tell you what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for Jack having a panel where we can share these kind of thoughts and have the pleasure of the company of people like yourself, Flo, and not being a screaming match and have some philosophical discussion. And I'm just really thankful that we're in a state where people are able to share this concept and the general beliefs and not have people judge them for it too harshly.
Amen.
So Merry
Thanks
Christmas,
for joining, Aaron.
Merry pleasure. Thank you for having me.
God
Cheers,
bless.
Joe.
All right. Are you going to Tom's?
I think I probably will. I'm going to do
All
a
right.
few minutes here alone and then wrap it up. All right. Thank you, brother. Brothers and sisters, all who joined the panel, all who joined the chat, all who shared their time and took a chance and hit play, thank you. Thank you for joining us today on this, for us, this Christmas afternoon, this Christmas evening. And Christmas time, the time of the solstice, it is a season of transition. And we're about to enter into the new calendar year as well. And so lots of emotions can come up. That's right. There's a full moon energy tomorrow as well. I'm telling you, the planets are aligning, the energies are changing. There is a new world that is being birthed through us all. Right. And this idea of celebrate the birth of Christ within you, because it is there, it is with you. So, however you want to embrace the concept and the idea, the words are true. God's presence, it is eternal. The Father is always here. It's there. It is. We are in the kingdom here to celebrate life and the Creator. And it is through the gift of time, through the sacrifices of others who came before us, other men and women like us, through their choices, their sacrifices, they allowed all of this nation, all of the technology, everything to be built, and for the knowledge to be passed down. So at some time long ago, so it is said, people like us figured out different methods of agriculture, different methods of building cities, and eventually sanitation and the medical industry. And today humanity has grown through the past that we know of. Collectively throughout history, humanity has grown. We are at a wonderful point of time with so many potentials and so many opportunities. And I tell you what, it applies to you as well, right? There's so much of history that brought us to where and who and how we are today. There's a lot of variables that are involved in who we are, what we share with the world. There's a lot of variables involved in what the world shares with us so that we become who we are. This life we are living, it is a gift. It is very short. Life can be very fragile from our state of being. Our minds, our hearts, our spirits, those things can feel broken very easily. And our lives, the true light that's within us, it can go out at any time. We don't know when the game ends for ourselves. So, not to be on a downer side, but for the truth of the day, celebrate the fact that through the choices and examples of Jesus or Yeshua, and through others in the past, the truth of love, the truth of the perfect nature of man and woman, it was shown to us. It was left for us. There's many examples, good and bad, for us to learn from. I'm one of those. I'm a man who's a good and a bad example to learn from. And I appreciate that you shared your time, attention, and energy with me on this day. Remember that with you in your short time here on earth, there is a power within you and around you with all of us. It is eternal. And the loving awareness that resides within you, right? From your perspective of the world, your perspective of the universe, there's an awareness that comes from your heart, that specific point in the universe. That loving awareness from you, it is always there. And that's what I call the Spirit of Jesus, the Spirit of Christ. That spirit of comfort, it's always there for us to know. And so today, throughout this world where there are many people honoring with reverence the choices and sacrifices, the stories of the old, and many people are sharing with reverence and generosity time with God's children around them, whether it's family or friends. That's what life is about. Brothers and sisters, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Till next time, please, thank you again. Share love, share support, share the like. You know, it's not hard. Maybe encourage someone to subscribe. Check us out next time. And until next time, thank you again. Choose love, peace for everyone, and live without fear. God bless us all.